Hello, everyone. Welcome to Money Spaces with Kalu. So this week we're doing our Economics of the Politics series. What we want to do with this series is to ask policy questions, talk about what we should be discussing in this run-up to, I would say, most of the presidential elections in 2023. It's going to be a consequential election. When I mean consequential, I do not use that term lightly. It's going to be consequential. Whoever wins, there are three candidates right now. We've got Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party. We've got Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress, and then we've got Peter Obi of the Labour Party. Three businessmen, right? Three guys that have gone through governance, have been involved in governance, and have been involved in business in Nigeria. I think whoever wins amongst these three is going to be a plus for Nigeria. Let me make a bold prediction, right? If come 2023, we have this election, and this election happens, and there's a winner at the end, and it is adjudged that the elections were free, fair. The folks that lost, no issues, and the folks that that weren't there, they lost out, but they lost out, right? No problems and all that. Then what you're going to find is that the Nigerian economy is going to boom. When I mean boom, I mean boom in the coming years, especially in 2023. Because there's just so much out there that is waiting, right? Just waiting for, should we say, a semblance of continuity and stability that the funds will just flow in. The stock market, the real estate market, commerce and trade, foreign portfolio investments, all these will just flow in big time. So this is just going to be, and it's not right now. Nigeria is an institution where it's going to be quote unquote easy to fix Nigeria. I mean, stuff has happened that whoever is going to take over has to just do 1, 2, 3 things. And you will find initially, right, this huge swing in positive sentiments, macroeconomic stability, that will just happen and you will see the boom. Three guys with three very, very different economic agendas and all that. And that's what we want to talk about in this space. I have Kelvin. Kevin's on his way in. I also have Ena. Ena joined us last time. I hope he can also join us again this time. But guys, it's not an usual session. It's more like an open house session. But we're not talking politics. We don't want to talk about politics, PVC, voting. I get it. We have lots of folks that talk about that. I want to talk about the economic side of it. I want to equip you guys with the economics of it. What questions should we be looking out for? How should we hold these guys to account? That's really my own take on this matter. The title is The Economics of the Politics. Policies, not politics. So if you want to speak this time, on mute. I'm going to do my quick recap. I mean, if you talk, I'm going to come back with a follow-up. I'm asking devils, quote unquote, the devil's question, the other side question. Doesn't mean I'm arguing with you. I just want to clarify your issues, right? So if you ask a question, I'm going to come back to you. Obi, welcome this week. Thank you so much for joining. I know you were down a bit, right? So I do appreciate you joining. I hope you're getting better.
Hi, Kalu. Yes, thank you very much. I'm a lot better. Thank God. Thank God for life. How are you doing too?
I am doing very well. I'm doing very well. We've been having fun without you, right? So, but we missed you. So,
Yeah, I figured. But don't worry, I'll chip in when I can during the session.
Excellent. Yeah. All right. So my own take, right? Thank you so much for joining. So let me just start it off. I've got you on speaker, but let me just start off, right? There are lots of things I want to see fixed in Nigeria. I believe in number one, if we look at the economy, there are lots of the things that hold the Nigerian economy back have to do really from the way the structure of Nigeria is set up, right? Last week we had a guy say, what sort of economy do we actually need? Do we need an import economy where we import and costs are cheaper, but we don't have a local production base? Or do we need an export-based economy, which means we are set up Nigeria to do export, cheap exports. But then again, if we do that, then exports, of course, imports become more expensive because our naira has got to be weak. What kind of a country do we want? The guy asked that very, very good question. I love that question. The structure of Nigeria it's funny. You have the federal government taking taxes, even corporate income taxes. The states don't take any taxes. So you cannot, as a manufacturer, you can't go to Yobe State and get any advantage. In the United States, you see companies leaving Chicago to go to Florida because Florida will build an economy around low taxes. And then companies then shop around and be like, I can get a good deal here. I'm going to move over here. Not so in Nigeria, right? It's all in one place. You have to be in Lagos because that's where the ports are. There's no tax advantage for you to go to, say, Kano or to Abia. You really can't do that, number one, right? Number two, this import thing, like that question only wasn't answered. What sort of economy do we need? Do we need to get cheap imports in? If we want cheap imports in, we're talking about a strong naira. If we want exports out, we're talking about a weak naira. On my own take, I think devolve the whole thing. Let the state be able to charge their own taxes. Let states run just like how it says the federal republic. Let the states run, tax, and attract investments. And I also want a weak naira. Okwe, I got you on. What's up, sir? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I can you hear me?
I can hear you very well, man. Go for it.
Okay, so I just wanted to get your opinion around. I mean,
Yeah.
I just wanted to get your opinion around. I mean, what exact? How should I know you've tweeted a lot about it, but how should Nigeria go as regards oil importation and finally
Not hearing you that well, Okwe. I'm not hearing you that well. Could you speak up or so?
Is it better now?
Yes, well, much better.
I said I wanted
Yeah.
to get your opinion as regards Nigeria as regards importation of fuel. I mean, how should Nigeria go about it? Should we sell?
Oh man.
Should we turn the refineries to museum? I mean, can we really rely on Dangote to really flood the country? Why is Nigeria not benefiting from the current crisis in Ukraine
Wow.
the same way Russia and UAE is benefiting? So I really like to have your thoughts around that, particularly as regards to the policies that you'd expect whoever becomes the next president to implement in that particular sphere.
Yeah. I hear your question. And that's such a good question. That's such a good question because it allows us to touch many things all at once. Many things all at once, right? So let's step back to where we are right now. Before, Nigeria had a situation where the federal government owns the crude oil and sets the prices for the retail sales of the PMS. That's the situation we had before. Then we passed the Petroleum Industry Bill, now the Petroleum Industry Act, which meant that it's sort of deregulated, right? We have this NNPC, we have these regulators, but now the idea is that you have more leeway. The private sector guys can come in, possibly build their own refineries, possibly sell at a price that is market driven, right? Because the idea was that if the federal government was setting prices of retail commodities, i.e., the PMS, then no one would invest because why would I invest if I can't sell at my price, right? And we all know that if you take away the subsidy of petroleum, the imported subsidy price, you take it away, local prices are going to go up. We all know that. But those prices going up in economics become an opportunity, which then attracts more investors into that sector and ultimately will then drop the prices as more productivity and more investments go into that sector to bring the prices down by more output. The problem of where is this? No one wants to take the political hit of increasing the price of fuel. President Goodluck Jonathan tried it in 2011 or so, or when he took up the subsidies 100%, and you saw what happened to him. We had the riots and all that kind of stuff, and at the time it was killed him politically, right? So no one wants to do that. I would have expected that the president of Nigeria right now, President Buhari, with his popular support and the fact that he's leaving office, would have taken that step, because when you pass PIB, prices are going to go up. But those prices going up is what the market, the investors need to invest in the market, right? He didn't do it. He passed it, then he's taken it back, i.e., they put the PIB in the freezer. And they've spent now, or they've approved to be spent, 4 trillion naira. They took the money from education and health to import PMS. That is the most. There's no word to describe what that is. That you are taking money from education and health to import PMS, so that people that have cars can drive cheap gas. It's so unbelievable. If you tell your kids this in 100 years, they will not believe. They'll tell you it's a lie. That this never happened. It will never happen. So it's mind-boggling what we've done with that. The solution is so easy. The solution is so easy. Pass this PIB, allow it to work its way through, allow devaluation, deregulation, and an uncoupling of this federal hold on the retail. What's the federal government doing importing, storing, and marketing PMS? They shouldn't have any business there. That's the solution. Let's talk about Dangote. This Dangote thing is very, very confusing. Dangote is in an export zone, which means he's going to sell or he's going to export PMS to Nigeria. But Nigeria has told him that he can pay for his crude oil in Naira. They've not told us how he's going to sell this crude oil, this PMS to us. Is he going to sell to us in dollars or in Naira? We're not clear. The antecedents of Dangote do not speak too well. Everything that guy touches, he becomes the biggest guy, brings a lot of expertise into Nigeria, like cement, fertilizer, but the prices don't fall. This is my issue with Dangote, and I've written about this severally. His prices don't come down. He becomes the majority guy in that sector, in cement, in fertilizers, in sugar, but his prices don't come down. If anything, he exports fertilizer. That's what we're seeing. We haven't taken advantage of this Ukraine gas and, of course, this wheat issue because we don't have any oil to sell, right? Tony Lumelu bought an oil field from Shell. You saw him screaming in the papers. He bought oil and it's been stolen. From the well to the refinery, he doesn't get anything. We've seen numbers like 95%, 80% of the crude oil has been stolen onshore. That's why all the oil majors are leaving onshore Nigeria, all going offshore. There's theft. And you can't steal crude oil in Nigeria without the security services being aware of it and acquiescing. Where are you going to keep it? So it's a big, big, big issue. And the issue is really that it's the federal government that is in charge. Take the federal government out, give this oil back to the private sector and to the people that own it. They will protect it. Then the market can start to take effect, right? You cannot keep on fixing the price. Imagine if the federal government said we're going to fix the price of cell phones. Who would import cell phones again? Nobody. Nobody would import cell phones again. Why would I import Apple 13? And the government says sell it for 50,000 naira. But what happens now is you import iPhone 13, then iPhone 5, the price falls. So it's a market. It won't be the same in oil, but the market should regulate prices, not the government. And as long as the government is in that sector, that's going to happen. The refineries are dead, okay? Those 4 refineries, okay, 3 of them are dead. They are scrap. And I don't know what's going to happen. All this turnaround maintenance. I wasn't married when Nigeria started doing, let's not even go there. Nigeria started doing turnaround maintenance a long time ago, and we are still doing turnaround maintenance. That just tells you that there's nothing being turned around. Maybe someone needs money for politics or elections, so I do a new turnaround maintenance. But Nigerians know that we haven't seen anything come out of this turnaround maintenance. Sell the things, let's move on. Okay. Do you ever come back to that?
Yeah. So from a policy standpoint, right? So and again, so which of the 3 candidates or who do you think would align more? No, I'm not.
No. We can talk there. Okay, let's go there. We can talk there. We can talk about the economic side of them. That's fine. I hear you.
So like from your view, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to make a policy decision based on candidates, do you understand? Like, if we are, can you analyze the 3 candidates? So I think so to give a more balanced and
I hear you.
I don't put you. But can we do like can we take it sector by sector based on your knowledge?
Let's talk about this particular topic. Let's talk about this PIB, right? And
In terms
the PIB.
Petroleum, who do you think? Looking at the antecedents, looking at what they've said in the public, who do you? What policy do you think person A would likely adopt, and you get like maybe the merit and merit of why of what our policy person B would actually adopt. So can we discuss the policies around, I mean, the economic policy as regards petroleum now around the three leading candidates?
I hear you. It's a good question again, right? So let's start with alphabetically Atiku. Atiku also has said in the past that he wants to sell the refineries, which means that he wants to sell them, privatize them, and then make the efficiency of the private sector work prices down. So right now, the NNPCs are inefficient. So the bulk of the cost of that fuel that we pay is head office expenses. It's delay in demurrage. It's a petroleum equalization fund where they want to make sure that a liter of petrol sells the same price in Lagos as the same in Sokoto or Abia State. It can't happen. Yam does not sell the same price all across Nigeria, but NNPC wants to equalize the price. So all these inefficiencies is what makes the price of PMS at the pumps in Nigeria very expensive. Atiku has said, sell them. So the government doesn't own them. Then the private sector has to come in and own them. I like that. I mean, he said it back 4 years ago. He was ridiculed, but I think now people are seeing the sense in that. I like that a lot. I'm a fiscal conservative, let me just say that. So I like that particular part. The problem with that is that the prices are going to go up initially, then they will come down. So that's his point. What about Tinubu? From Tinubu's, should we say, his past records and how his states run, he's more of a tax and spend progressive, i.e., he's a socialist, in quotes. I mean, in big quotes here. They do populist policies. So I asked one of the guys that was here last week, do you think Bola Tinubu would agree to higher petroleum prices, higher PMS prices in return for petroleum refineries being built? Well, he has told Lagos State roads, didn't he? They told the roads in Lagos. Lagos State, all our taxes in Lagos State went up, and we got lots of infrastructure. So I also suspect that if he comes into power, he would not hesitate to sell the refineries and bring in the private sector in. Remember that it was Bola Tinubu that brought in the Enron barge to produce power in Lagos. He brought the barge in. He and federal government had a fight. The barge left. So he's a forward thinker in terms of getting that sort of private sector, should we say, solutions in. So again, I like the thinking of Tinubu, right? I'm not his own tax increase would be severe, but I like his thinking in terms of how he's going to change that sector. That's what I think. And don't forget that he also has some connections with Owando issues, that kind of stuff. So I think he will be well briefed on that. Peter Obi, I think he's going to be a his solution will be a bit innovative because he looks like a guy on the ground. Like he's a billionaire, but he's on ground. So he understands how much it costs to maybe import a liter of diesel. That's how I view him. That he understands that I have to put this liter of diesel into my generator to run. So how can I make it easier? I think he's going to be more of a liberalized. He's going to say, listen, everyone can do what they want to do in terms of importation, and the competition will then drive down the prices. So I would say different between a Peter Obi and a Tinubu, that Tinubu will bring in one or two players. There will be a monopoly, but the process will get better, i.e. the refineries would work, but there'll be a monopoly or a duopoly of one or two players. I think with Peter Obi, it's going to be more of a everyone can do this business. There'll be no man, quote unquote. It will be if you can do this, you can come in and do it, right? And the prices will also fall. And there'll be less big quote here corruption, less big quote here corruption in that sector, which would then sort of like make it the same agenda as Tinubu, but in a different way. Atiku, I think, is going to be more of what they try to do when they try to sell the refineries to Dangote and Femi. Atiku is also a guy that is also plugged into the Nigerian sector. He also bring in a partner. They also do a public offer. So I would say Atiku will be more of one side. Tinubu will be on the other side. I.e. Tinubu will do more of a duopoly, monopoly. Peter Obi is clearly going to be more of a Republican. Anyone can do it. I suspect that Atiku also would do more of a let's bring a partner in. So if you are a guy that was going to try to get to that sector, you want to look at those three and say, where do I see the opportunities? Where do I see the opportunities? And that's how I would answer it. If anyone has a different view, I've got Agbo here. I'll soon bring you on. He can take it. But well, let me hear your close on that.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, let others have their opinion on that.
Excellent. Yeah. So, Agbo, what's up? You can unmute. What's on your mind? What are you talking about? Oh, Kevin is there. I'm going to add Kevin real quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, how you doing? Hey,
I'm
what's
good.
up?
I'm good. Today I spent quite some time trying to get fuel, over 3 hours plus. So
Wow.
I think I came here quite a bit unhappy. So so so, but and I also spent quite some time talking with some folks there, and we don't really
On the
understand.
fuel queue.
Yes, on the fuel queue, because we had to gather around to discuss our woes and challenges and all
Oh
that.
my God.
And I took some time to educate. And on the ground, you will see people don't really understand the relationship between governance and their current state of life, and how the people we elect, how policies impact businesses. How is it that a wrong policy can end your business? How a wrong policy can determine whether you will grow or not grow? People just
Yeah.
feel governance is somewhere on the other extreme. Business and life, daily life, is somewhere on the other extreme. So I don't have a need to engage in governance. I don't need to ask questions. I don't need to follow the conversations. I don't even need to understand the ideology of the person I'm talking about. It's not about PDP or APC.
Yeah.
These individuals, can we see or look through what they are saying? Do you feel this person has the capacity? Do you feel he has the right ideology? Do you feel he understands the current issues on ground? And do you feel he has capacity to select a team or assemble set of experts that can address these issues?
Very
I think that's
important.
the
Yeah.
point
Yeah.
where I'll come from.
Yeah.
So if we are talking about candidates, for me, we should be looking at
We're talking about the policy,
the
the
policies now.
policies. So I don't want to just say Peter is better or Tinubu is
No,
better.
I'm not talking about Peter is better, but I'm talking about, just like you said earlier, we need people who don't who understands the issue on ground first. If you are designing a project, you say no, I won't do bottom top approach. I want to do I don't want to do top bottom approach. I want to do
Yeah.
from the bottom up approach. I want to carry everybody along. I want to do stakeholder consultation. I want to know what people are thinking. I want to understand what are the actual issues on ground. I want to understand how we can integrate this policy into the issues. Okay, so if the people in question, if for example, okay, if we are to talk about the candidates, okay, I will say, okay, Obi, so far he has been able to say, okay, these issues, I understand them, and this is how I feel it should be addressed. Even though I'm still of the opinion that I want to see it on paper, I want to read it, I want to dissect it one after the other. Then for the others, we've just had some time in the past. But if we look at what happened in the power sector privatization, for me, I don't think we are going to achieve some level of efficiency with NNPC and the rest of them. The regulation that needs to happen
Yeah. Those
in
guys
that
can't
sector,
do anything.
because we've tried it. We said, okay, we are going to face power. We are going to do this privatization in phases, but we can see what is going on now. Okay, for example, if what has someone who doesn't have funds, because privatization is about funds, to enter into a particular market, what you don't have any business going into government concession. Why would the government who wants to sell still be the one giving you money to run your business? I don't see any. I don't see the wisdom in it. Okay, so and then next time you're telling me you want to do bailout, so so we need first of all, I want to see each of these candidates. I think time is good. We don't even have a lot of time.
That is
By
true.
now we should be having conversations along this line, not just about the individual. We need to see what they have on paper, how they are able to address each of the sectors. That's what me I want to see. I want to see you
You're very correct. Yeah.
bring about the financial sector and say, okay, these are the issues we are facing, and this is how we feel we are going to solve it. These are the policies we want to push to solve it. These are the structures we need in place to solve
That
it.
is true.
And now,
That is
and
true.
you pick another sector. Okay, you pick the power sector. You break it down to the lowest level that someone at the village can be able to understand what
Yeah,
they are
and
saying.
Agbo, let me just hop in here, right? You see, this space is right. We had planned this space about 2 months ago. And
Yeah.
we're waiting for guidelines and plans to come out so we could dissect them. But they haven't come out. So we just had to start these spaces without getting those guidelines. Let me talk about Peter Obi. in a certain way. He is a quote unquote insurgent. He's the one trying to take power. So I would have expected by now that we should have his economic plan. The first guy, his plan should be out there by now. That's what I would have expected. That he would say, this is how I want to change things. I think I've seen enough of the videos. I've seen enough of the spending here and not spending here. I want to see the plan. So if you know Peter Obi, I listen to him, I want to see the plan on paper. I want to see how I will do X, how I'll do Y. He went to Egypt, right? I want to see how he will go from what he was taught in Egypt, i.e., power sector, step by step, to how I will pay my taxes and to how I'll get power megawatts in Nigeria. I want to see it. I think this is specifically for him. For the other two, I mean, they are lucky because we can look at their record, but Peter has no executive record in that space, right? He has the governorship record. Atiku is more of a VP. We can do that dovetailing there, two times. So I think we'll need to see more from him. Yeah. But let me grab Abdulrahman because he's been cutting off and on. So let me, before his internet kicks him off again. I will hang in there for us, right? Abdulrahman, what's up? Let me just, this is Abdulrahman MUHD. What's up, sir?
Oh, actually, I don't know if you hear me.
I can hear you now. Go
Hello?
for it. Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
So, my candidate is Peter Obi. Briefly, but,
You don't have to.
my expectations, the policies I'm hoping that would be first of all, I think the current system is not favorable to us as a nation. The system we're living today is we are stealing from Peter and we're giving Paul. That is, the South generates more revenue than the North, and then I kind of see the higher percentage coming down here, which is not fair. I'm hoping that someday this country will be restructured, and then every state would actually take care of itself. I'm really an advocate of that. I want the country to be restructured. Let every state take care of itself. And also, if there should be any subsidy, I'm hoping that the health and education sector should be subsidized because the human development
I don't want to lose
is
you.
very, very
Abdulrahman, you're
essential in
breaking up, right?
pushing.
You're breaking up. And before you're breaking up, before you go, I want to ask you a few questions before you go. Can you hear me, Abdulrahman? Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, I can hear you, sir.
So, quick question: how old do you think you are? Like, how old? Not your. Maybe are you 25? Are you what range of age are you? Do you mind me asking? What range? I don't. Could you hear me, Abdulrahman? Can you hear me?
22 years.
22 years. Where do you live? Do you live north, south, east? Where do you live?
Hello.
Yeah. What part of Nigeria do you live in? Did you get my question, Abdulrahman?
My network is really bad. I'm sorry if you can come again.
I know. I'm saying, yeah. What part of Nigeria do you live in? Do you live in the north, the west, or the east? Yeah, we're having problems with you, Abdulrahman. Abdulrahman, send me a DM. Let's talk via DM. I want to get the profile of you. I don't really get your name or who you're voting for. Just want to get, because you were saying I don't want to make should we say, a stereotypical statement without you basically answering. But you're 22 years old. You want to see more power devolution. You've talked about the north and south dichotomy in terms of the wealth flowing what direction and more of development, not contrary directions. I really get more from you. If you can call me back or send me a DM, I really would want to interrogate you more on this to find out why you have these views and what that would mean for you in terms of the policies that you're going to look for when you're trying to. Raman, I tell you what, send me a DM. Let's talk on DM. Just send me a DM. I'll ask you a question on DM. Send me a DM right now, and I'm going to send you one. Just send me a DM, and we'll talk on DM, Raman. Does that work for you? Okay, great. I just sent you a DM. Let's talk on DM, and then we'll come back here. Yeah? Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate you calling in. Hey, let me see. Laja, what's up on your mind? I've got Lasizzle. What's happening? How are you doing? Thank you for waiting to speak. I've got everyone online. Don't worry, I'm going to call you guys up and we'll take you back and forth. Lasizzle, can you hear me? Going once, going twice. If you're not ready, I'm going to have Obiechins. Laja is on his way. Obiechins, you can unmute and we can go ahead and hear you out. What's happening, sir? Thank you. That was an interesting comment by Abdurrahman. I really would have had him speak more if he had good network here. Yeah,
okay,
Obiechi,
good.
what's up?
I'm fine.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. What about you?
I'm doing very, very well. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Abuja.
Abuja, great. What's on your mind, bro? You know our topic, right?
Yes. Okay, my question is as regards some of your tweets, and I want to know the policies and what you feel about the policies of whoever emerges president on it. So, like initially, you said that if Nigeria can incorporate cryptocurrencies well, it will help for remittances, and you said about INERA. So I want to know what you feel, which president, whether there are plans to privatize INERA, because a lot of nations like China is already launching their own. Japan, they say 2026. US say they'll keep up with global economies. European Union are saying 2026. So I want to know what you feel about CBDCs and INERA and whether there are plans to privatize it.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, good question. And it's a good dovetail. I hear what you're asking. First of all, INERA is not a CBDC. I don't think it's a currency. I think INERA can be termed as just a wallet. So it looks more like a wallet, the INERA, and I think it's not working out so well. Amongst the three presidential candidates, I don't see any of them that would be against even cryptocurrencies. I don't see any of them that have spoken up against cryptocurrencies. So this is the point I make about that. Once we have a good election, the economy is going to change and improve because whoever it is that's going to be there is going to be better than what we have right now in terms of the policies regarding cryptocurrencies, the regulation, and linking Nigeria to the general world economy. Large, I see you, no worries. So any of those three guys have not spoken up against cryptocurrencies as yet. So we have to take it that they don't have any issues with it as yet. So I think let's do the right thing. If we're going to have a digital naira, let's have a digital naira that is going to be linked to remittances. So that way, if you want to do a remittance, you can just send the money from dollars to Nigeria at a cheaper cost, and you bypass this international cost of sending currencies, which is really, in my view, just another form of slavery to tax the wealth of immigrants that want to send money back to Africa. What are you taxing it for? So let's do a proper digital currency. The Euro guys, the French-speaking West Africa already have one. They want to put ECHO. They call it the ECHO or whatever. Or this SEPA, I don't know call it. They want to use that as the currency of choice in West Africa. Ghana is siding with them, right? And Ghana is the headquarters of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So if you keep quiet and Nigeria allows that to happen, what it means is that France, via this SEPA, will then become the quote-unquote reserve currency of not just West Africa, because once they get West Africa, they will link it to their SEPA currency in Central Africa, and that becomes the de facto digital currency in Africa. And then they have a lot of sway over that. They can then issue and set limits and all that. So Nigeria has to be very, very forceful. We have the numbers, we have the advantage of having banks in West Africa and Central Africa already. So whatever currency you want to bring it out very quickly. We have all these Flutterwave boys, we have all these banks in Nigeria, get them together in a room, get out the digital currency and put it out there. GTB, access that all in West Africa, right? let's start to use it, because the game is to make that currency the currency of trade, in West Africa and Africa. So you get that advantage that you are the one issuing the currency of trade. We shouldn't be waiting for France and the French-speaking guys to set this up. We should be, I think, more proactive. So for now, Vietnam, I think all three of them have not said anything about cryptocurrency that is not what we know. So let's hope that it remains that way. I'm a big supporter of it. Let's see if it comes to pass and the economy will boom. I said that the economy is going to boom. So do you have a comeback of Vietnam, or I want to go to Laja if you don't have anything else?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you so much, my brother. I appreciate you calling in. Laja, what's up? L.A. Laja. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, brother.
Hey, how you doing? Where are you calling from?
Calling from Istanbul.
Istanbul, that's in Turkey. How you guys doing over there?
Yeah,
I
fine.
hear you guys have some issues with your currency, right?
Man, it's like, man, it's not funny. Like the currency keeps crashing. It's like they've run out of ideas. Like they pull in some funds recently.
Yeah.
It stabilized, but now it's crashing again. So
because your president said that the way to fight inflation is to lower interest rates. That was crazy. You want to fight inflation by lowering interest rates. So I think economics is happening to you guys. You guys would let it real quick. But what's on your mind? Go for it, sir. What's on your mind?
You visited Buhari before all these issues. So I think
you are going there. You are going there.
It was rubbed on him. So
don't put us in trouble. Don't put us in trouble. Yeah, okay. So what's up?
They have free speech here. So
yeah.
The truth is that I was a grassroots somebody. I was almost a political talk before I left. So I felt that living saved my life to some extent.
Amen.
This election year, in fact, 2015, I was one of those that, if I can speak like Tinubu now, I was one of those that put Buhari into power.
Wow.
Because we are not happy with the situation of things with Goodluck and the rest. The corruption was there, and we felt it was one-sided. So we brought in Buhari.
What do you mean one-sided?
The money was not really during Goodluck. If you can recall and be honest to ourselves, the money wasn't really flowing. Like there was money, right, but it was in the hands of few. Okay. There was one thing that Goodluck did that I can't forgive him up to tomorrow. I wish I would see him before I die and to tell him that Goodluck, being from Niger Delta, brought in 13 banks, including Eco Bank, which I was the employee then, and they gave loan to Dangote to build a refinery. Goodluck is from Niger Delta. He probably have cousins that are into bunkering already that he would have empowered with that loan. But instead he gave it to Dangote. Dangote was already making flour, sugar, cement. Now, I don't even want to go back to the subsidy that he removed, and I was stuck in my village then because Ngozi gave him advice to remove subsidy then. After the subsidy, 10 people bought license to build a refinery. Goodluck did not support any of them. Instead, he supported Dangote. Dangote was already jacking too many trades. But he insisted that Dangote should be the one to build the refinery. And up till tomorrow, we have not seen the result. They keep lying to us as usual. And we are too gullible. We just go with the lie. I was having a discussion with some of my friends one day. Normal beer polo discussion here. I made a statement. They almost beat me up, but I'm not surprised. That's how I am. I talk. I say my truth, but sometimes it comes scatteredly and people don't understand me. I told them, and I repeat, I told them that Dangote is a failed businessman. And they were all shocked. I was trying to bring fact and figure. They refused. Most people here are more intelligent than me.
Let me ask you a question. So you sound like a guy that you are on the Tinubu train. You voted in Buhari and all that. So right now, the first question is, if you had to score Buhari A, B, C, D, F, what does he get?
Buhari has failed. Buhari failed before 2019. That was why I was among those that tried to bring Atiku in, but they militarized the election.
Okay, so
You get my
Buhari.
point?
So amongst
But
and I like the fact that you said you were
But I
like a
feel
guy
like
on the
Mr.
street.
Jalai is trying to personalize the issue.
No, Tayo.
No.
Tayo,
Let's go back. Let's go back a bit.
Tayo, let's so
Let
Laja.
me take you back. Let me take you back a bit.
No, Tayo, don't worry about Laja. So right now, right, we have three folks, right? Which who do you think, in terms of who do you think you have more, should we say, hope? Who do you think would give you more hope to correct the issues of Goodluck and Buhari that have both failed you? Who do you think you want to look to now?
The truth is that Nigeria, we have never had the best option, right? All our leaders have always been people with one-eyed people. We have never had a leader with double eyes, with two eyes. We don't even want to talk about foresight.
Gotcha. Let me ask you a question. Sorry, because I hear you, but sorry before you answer. Yeah, which single policy matters to you? Which single one really can, if someone does, going to swing your vote? Which single policy?
A policy that will affect the price of gala and Gary. You get my point now. The problem is that if Buhari meant well, that's what we always forget. But if you can recall with me, those of us that are maybe old enough to remember or have pretended, because Nigerians will easily forget things. When Buhari came in, dollar started rising even before Buhari came in. With good luck, dollar started rising. But when Buhari came in, we had a crash in dollar. There was steady fuel. In fact, people were scared, like they were scared of Buhari. The name Buhari was like, they were shaky. When he came in, I will never forget, like I told you, I was an employee of Ukama. We started having training on how to open a yen account, Chinese yen account. Buhari wanted to boycott dollar and bring in Chinese yen because we buy things from China, right? That policy would have to change Nigeria to some extent. But they denied that policy later. From what we gather behind closed door, that he received a call from Obama that will put you in and you want to boycott us. So, but now the same thing that happened to Buhari might happen to these three people now, if they are not careful. Nigeria is not a country where only a good president is not enough for Nigeria, because there's corruption. Even a PAMSEC is more corrupt than a president of.
Who would fight corruption? Tinubu, Atiku, Peter Obi. Who would fight corruption more in your view?
Now, Nigeria cannot survive without corruption. That's the truth. Those of us that are in Nigeria now will be able to witness that after the primaries, those dollars that were pumped into the economy, there was a little bit crash in dollar. If anybody can confirm this, you can call anybody and ask. That means, what is that telling you? That means we need that kind of bribery in quotes in the economy, because that era, those people came back with a lot of dollar. So the dollar was now enough for supply. The money now crashed a bit, right?
I'm trying to nail you down, because I heard you say
you
are saying that what you want is a cheaper cost of living. You want a cheaper cost of living, right? Who will give you a better, cheaper cost of living? Which policy do you think Atiku, Tinubu, or Peter Obi would give you? Which one do you think?
Now, I wish Atiku was allowed by Obasanjo to govern Adamawa so that we'll see his work. But he's currently claiming that he was the one that led the economic team that crashed our debt, and he was the one that brought in most of those technocrats that worked with them, because most of us can be together. Yes. So, but there were a lot of technocrats in their regime, which are still up to now. Most of them are still relevant. The likes of Ngozi and co. Yeah. Now, Tinubu, he tried in Lagos, and all those. He did some works, but we all know how Lagos is. There is money there, so if you work small and chop plenty, it will show. Peter Obi in person.
I want you to land. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, but Peter Obi in person now. Me as a person, I personally see Peter Obi. I don't see him as a politician. I see him more of a motivational speaker. Because every day I listen to his interview, he keep talking about how he saved money and all those stuff. And I'm wondering, why didn't he turn Anambra to the Bangladesh and the Filipino and all those countries he keep mentioning in his interview? He had I think 8 years. Do you understand me? And it's like we're leaving out Konkoso out of the equation. Konkoso is also a force to reckon with, but
okay. So who do you? So I want to do last sentence right from you. Just close it out now.
Let me give you the instant with Konkoso, then I just come back to the four.
Just close it out on the 3. No more. Close it out. So you haven't answered.
On the 3. Okay, for me now, the major thing I want to see is APC out. That's the major thing.
All right.
APC
I hear you.
Out.
I hear you. Point taken. I hear you. So Kelvin has dropped off again. Kelvin, Jesus. So I always hold spaces with Kelvin, and he was here a minute ago, but he's dropped out. Kelvin, if you can hear me, please request back so I can add you, and then we can just take it from there. We're doing more of an open house and all that. Just let folks come in and speak. Laja, thanks for that long exposition. I tried to nail you really because I want to know you identified where you failed, but I wanted to get what you think would make you have faith back in the political process. But I really wasn't able to get that. Let me go.
We should have an open mind, though, because
I hear you, bro. I hear you, bro. Just I've got lots of people to.
Nigerian politics. Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Toby, what's going on? Let me have you on mute, right?
Hi, Kalu. Hi, guys.
How you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm doing great, and you? Thank you very much for hosting this space. So I'm just going to be very brief. It's unfortunate that we're having the discussion without any proper manifesto from any of the candidates.
Very true.
I mean, take a look at what happened in the US, or even the French election, or even the German election that I witnessed. I was there when it happened. People were discussing based on the manifestos, based on the ideologies, based on what they're going to do, based on the flaws of the previous administration. Not even calling names, but based on things they can improve upon. But here we are talking about, it's my turn. I've done this and I've done that. Now it's my turn to rule, without any concrete solution to the problem. You see, whoever is going to come in, the next government is going to face a serious problem. Be it Peter, Atiku, or Tinubu, or Kwankwaso, or any one of the, lesser mentioned parties. It's beyond a single person, Kalu. Guys, it's about who occupies, the group of people that occupy the Green Chamber, the Senate, and also the cabinet member. You all recall that it took 6 months for the current government to appoint the ministers. 6 good months, and things were really going down because there was no plan. They had no plan at all. I mean, it just struck them. Guys, we've won. So what are we going to do now? And they started putting things together. If we could have a manifesto and say, okay, this is what we have to do about power. This is what we have to do about, pushing the economy to a productive state, out of a consumer state. How are we going to tackle, the loans, subsidy? Should we have subsidy? I think we should have subsidy, but not on petroleum. The US have subsidy, but on agriculture, I think agriculture should have a subsidy. I think education should have. These are like clear line policies. You talk about crypto. Guy, I don't think any of them will understand what crypto is. Maybe P2B might have. So they can't even have a say on that until they get into power, and then maybe one minister that they've kind of appointed to compensate for dropping for them, kind of gets that role and then does whatever he wants to do. Honestly, it's unfortunate that we have intellectual discussions, but then the bulk of people who are going to do the voting are not on this block of discussion. And it's so unfortunate that intellectuals get one vote, and then people who are after stomach infrastructure, who are waiting for the bag of rice. I saw a video today, 5 kg of rice or sugar going around with a picture of one of the candidates. These are the guys who collect these things and still go to the poll and vote. And each person gets one vote. But the guy with a PhD, the intellectual, and the guy on the street who's just after his stomach gets one single vote. It's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this system, but it's going to take a long time.
The thing is this, right? We have to put pressure. Why we're doing this space? This space not only just for economics, and why we're doing this space is to get people to understand what's going on. No one has an economic plan. No one has an economic plan. Last week, not last week, 2 weeks ago when we had this, someone was trying to imply that Atiku had enough. No, there's no economic plan. And what are you talking about?
That was 2019. That was 2019.
I know. If you don't have a plan, stop talking. Stop talking. Get us a plan so that we can analyze that plan. This is my own takeaway, because your plan will tell us what if okay, you want to do 50. Let me take Tinubu's plan that I heard him say on TV. He wants to take cassava and feed the youth. It makes sense because, believe it or not, right, in the US, when the US had the recession, the Great Recession, what they do, they hired people, you dig a hole, and someone will come and fill the hole back. You want to get money out there, full employment. That's what he's talking about. So Tinubu is trying to say he wants to do full employment, and then he wants to then buy food from the farmers and feed. But I need to see it written out. What will it cost me to do this? Will it cost me
But
more than
Carlo,
I will gain? I want to
but
see
Carlo,
the numbers.
but Carlo, you realize that these guys are really doing this thing because they feel that I've helped some people and it's my turn to be recognized as a president.
Because people don't
They
hold them
don't.
to
They don't
account.
have.
If you
Yeah,
start,
exactly. Because a bulk of people are illiterate. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but that's the truth.
so
A
you have
bulk
to
of a bulk.
you have to equip people. Who knew?
Exactly.
Listen, there are many teams I take on Twitter, and I explain to people, and people are arguing, and I know they don't really quote unquote get the numbers right. Take, for example, weak naira, strong naira. I explain to people all the time. If you want a weak naira, this is what it means. If you want a strong naira, this is what it means. Oh, is that what you're saying? Okay, I don't want this anymore. If you don't educate people, you can't tell them, you can't hold them to account and be like, you should have known. So we want to make this cycle about educating the voter. That when someone says, I want to do X, this is what it means to your budget. If someone says, I'm going to fix a refinery, this is what it means to your retirement plan. So people can take a decision. That's what we're trying to do. And we can't do our
But
job
Carlo,
because there's no plan. There's no economic plan out there.
is it possible? Is it possible? Let's kind of expand. Is it possible to get any of the candidates apart from Peter
I
Obi?
don't want
I mean,
them.
he has been the one
I don't want them.
on radio, on TV station, or maybe any guy of their campaign team,
No,
because we know they are not the
I
one
don't
that will
want
write
them.
these manifestos.
Once you invite those guys over, it becomes a
Mhm.
political thing. Then puts out a call and say, no, let them send us their plan. We'll look at it and we'll have the same session. We'll say Peter B says he's going to do this. This implication. Then let his campaign team respond. That's how I want to do it. They can go to any interview they want to do, but I really want to hold their feet to the fire with facts, figures, and data that they have published. That's what I want to do. It's not. I'm
Yeah,
not
just
trying to do.
final point. You see, final point, Carlo. This goes beyond a single individual. It's about the cabinet. Will whoever comes into power, is he going to compensate the guys who helped him, or is he
It
going to
has
look
to.
for
It happens.
technocrats?
It happens
So,
everywhere, Toby. Everyone, I mean, who is the Secretary of State in America? It happens everywhere, right? The point is
yep.
this, right? I say this again. Nigeria, if we get a president, irrespective of who the president is in 2023, if the process is free and fair and there's no rancor, the economy immediately will get a 25% jump. Just the fact that
I
we
agree
have
with you.
moved over from this to this. So let's go from A to B. When the president is there, then we can go, okay, who should we then appoint there? But if we start to go too far off, we get lost. Ena, welcome. Thanks. Ena, how you doing? I just saw you
I'm
now.
doing great, boss.
Hey,
I'm doing great.
you've been in the background. What have you heard so far?
I'm listening, but when is my whenever you give me the floor to speak, then
You've got the floor, bro.
okay. Thanks for hosting it, and I want to say, Lord Rothschild said, "Give me the monetary system of a government, and I do
Uh-huh.
not care who makes the laws." So I want to say that this is the most important space in anything concerning Nigeria as we speak right now. Because if you miss this part of it, you've missed everything. In
True.
the US,
True.
lobbyists, the lobbyists are the ones that determine the laws. Either
Yeah.
it's the pharmaceutical industry, either it's the NRA, the gun
Yeah.
industry. They're shaping everything, so it's all about economics.
Yeah.
Now, so the candidates and the business. I might not agree that Obi does not have an economic blueprint, because I was one of the people shouting for it. But when I reflected deeply and I look at his personnel and the impact, the ripple effect it will have in governance, I would say Obi already has an economic model.
Ah.
What already
And
has a manifesto.
you're giving him corporate fire.
I'm going somewhere. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 says there's time for everything: time to born, time to die, time to smile, time to cry. What am I saying? We've been in a wrong trajectory. Our issue has never been financial. We've had money. But what did we do with the money? Now, if this man, as a man, had saved money when there was money, Norway discovered crude oil in 1967. As I speak to you today, the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund is worth $1.3 trillion.
With a T.
So, what does that tell you? It means this was a man that had a foresight. This is a man that is bringing decency to our politics. Because when you talk of economic modeling, if you go to biblical dates, the simpler the better. Economics, as complex as it is with econometrics, it's still the simple economics that would deliver, which is save when you have, cut the cost of governance. And I believe if those are the only two things that this man delivers, I will call his government a success. And
I
I'll go
agree with
further.
you.
I
I
will
agree
go
with you
further.
on that point. I agree.
Why I'm saying this is, I'm one of the key people that have been saying I want to see the manifesto. And not like I didn't know what his economic direction was. I was only asking that because if the Labour Party, the Labour Union, is the owner of the party, I'm trying to see how would he manage that mismatch. But let me go further. Why I think he has a better shot. The greatest legacy of leadership is hope. And the only person that I've seen that's been able to stir hope amongst the young ones, because the future is more important than the past, is the one. So I'll give him a pass on his manifesto based on his past experience. This is a man that built the brewery in Anambra. So he already has an industrialization mindset. He was a trader. He's a banker. So I think he understands the dynamics. And I think he would do a good job. Just coming into this field has changed the trajectory of Nigerian politics. It's no longer business as usual. When he gets into government, where it's no longer monetized, when he gets into government too, it will not be business as usual as it was in Anambra. So I think I'll give him a pass for it. I don't need to see his
Okay.
manifesto.
I mean, that would mean that we're going to give Tinubu a pass and we're going to give Atiku a pass because we have to give all three a pass.
No, I won't give them a pass. I'll tell you why. These people have had opportunities. Lagos owes external debt, $1.3 billion. I'm an infrastructural specialist. I'm a developmental consultant. I'm a reliability engineer. I currently work for a company where we manufacture high-speed trains. So anything I'm saying, I'm not saying from a figurative point of view. I'm Nigerian. No one is more Nigerian than me. What we need at this time, different times require different things. When crude oil prices skyrocketed, what did the US do? They funded their shale gas explorations, which is fracking. That singular decision made them, during Trump, to become the world's largest producer of crude oil. So it's not about the sophistication of Atiku or of Tinubu. It's about where are we at today in the context of debt to GDP ratio, 34%. Where are we at today as regards revenues to debt servicing? Who is the man? We need an immediate solution. As a consultant, even as a doctor, sometimes you resuscitate. The ERO, emergency medicine, will first attend to you before they stabilize you. So where we are at this time is a critical situation. And we need a man that would cut the cost of governance ab initio, a minimum of 50%. A man that would not carry a bogus government, that will have a lean government. Because if you look at the percentage of our budget to expenditure, recurrent to capital expenditure, it doesn't add up. And the question is, can Obi do that? Yes. So it's not about more money. It's about the money that we've had. Have we used it to the best of our ability?
About
so I'll
better
give Obi a
spending.
pass.
Okay, Ena, of course you're on the panel, so you are here in case we want to come back to you. But for me, somebody has sent me a DM now saying that elections have not started, so they don't want to send out the manifestos or campaigns because that's against INEC. I'm saying that's not true because we are hearing them all talk about economics in bite size. We've heard the other guy talk about cassava. What do we talk about in energy in Egypt? We've heard the article talk about this. So we need to get a document. It's not politics. Write your economic plan. Go and say it somewhere. Say it in London or whatever. So that plan, we can review it. Write it now for the situation right now. That's what we're asking for. So we can review something. Because Buhari, when he won, said he never made any promise. You remember, Ena? He said he never made any promise. And we had manifestos from APC saying this is the promise of Buhari. So we want to get now from the campaign. This is what the president has said. If it's going to make $1 equals to $1, let's have it in paper from the campaign so that we can talk about it. Not when you be coming to office, you say, "Oh, I never said it." That's what I'm trying to go for. Mr. Toyo, what's up? Thanks for waiting, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
How you doing?
Good evening. I'm fine. Thank
Where are
you.
you calling from?
I'm calling from Akure, Ondo State.
How is Akure?
Quite chilly at the moment. Thank you.
Chilly. Nice. Okay, what's up?
Yeah. I believe that a lot of our leaders, or should I say aspirants, they think about grabbing the power so much that they fail to plan about what they are going to do with the power when they actually get there. Because I feel like they are more of just grab it and run kind of mentality that they have. Because if the right leader now has to key into our population, we have 250 million people, like figuratively. We don't have a census. We have not done census since 2006. Another example of failed leadership. And they say that we have 70 million youth, which is really what drives the economy all over the world. You invest in your youth, you invest in education. For crying out loud, the federal government is just subsidizing the wrong things. I don't see why we need to subsidize petroleum if the standard of living in this country is actually good. Imagine if we have $1 that is at least, even if it's not at par with $1, at least close to $1, and the minimum wage is at least enough for a basic person to live in this country. You won't have to subsidize anything because your population can actually afford it. But now you have to subsidize that petroleum because an average person on the street can't actually afford it if you pull out the subsidy.
So, Toyo, question for you. Would you
Okay.
pay 1,000? No, that's 500 per liter if you can get better health care and it's better schooling. Would you agree?
Yes, I would because they said when you are faced with two evil, you choose the lesser evil.
Mm,
When you are faced with multiple options, you choose the one that will impact you
mm,
lesser. So if I have to pay 500 per liter for petroleum, and I'll get health insurance, I'll get social security,
mm.
loans will be accessible to me. They'll give me good policy if I want to do businesses. I can do anything. I can own crypto without being judged. I can walk on the street as a young person without being looked at in the wrong way. I can wear my clothes anyhow I want. I can talk anyhow I want. I actually have the fundamental rights. Why not? Why not?
Okay.
Because
How
these are
old?
the
How
these are the
how old are
elements
you?
of a good
How old are you,
community.
Toyo? I'm just for the record. How old are you?
I'll be 23 by August.
Are you going to vote in this election?
I'm definitely going to vote for
No, not. You're not saying who you're going to vote for, but you're going to vote this election.
Yes, I'm
I,
going to vote. Yes,
have you
definitely.
voted
Yes.
in the Have you voted in the past?
No, 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 no. But with this current situation of the country, if if only two people vote in this country, I'll be the second person.
So is this you're going to
Huh?
be your first time of voting?
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah,
Interesting.
right. Mhm.
Excellent.
Yeah, and
Thank you,
I and
Toyo.
I want to add one more thing.
Yeah, go for it.
And I feel that the only person that can actually drive our economy, from what I've heard from the aspirant, is actually Peter Obi, because I think he has a clear-cut plan to drive our economy forward. Let's
Interesting.
forget about the expertise or not. This guy is young. This guy can easily pick up his phone and Google things. We
I
don't
hear you.
want people that are children. We don't want old people. At least we want somebody that's agile and has a
I,
clear-cut plan to rule this country.
Toyo, I hear
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toyo. All right,
Yeah,
great.
thank you very much.
Thanks so much. I'm going to have Adesanya Ibukum. How you doing?
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Kalu. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
Akalu, sorry.
Where you calling in from, though?
From Ogun State.
Ogun State. Great.
Yeah. So, first of all, I've been listening to everyone give their different views. Some I agree, some I don't really agree, but to everyone their own. And but something okay. Let me just at first let me put this out there. A lot of people just pick one candidate, fixate on the person, and decide this is who I'm voting for, without proper, should I say, research into the candidates. They just maybe follow media propaganda and all. But I also want to say that if you really want to pick the best leader for Nigeria, I feel you should, do your research on people, individuals. Just follow whatever stories and everything you hear about them. But there is a lot of the general image now is painting Peter Obi as a saint and Tinubu as this man surrounded by conspiracies, this and that.
Let's
I'm
let's
not
let's talk policy. Let's talk policy. Which policy
okay.
do you like?
Okay. One policy like you asked Abdulhamid, the policy that would really, exciting the most in a sense. For
Hmm.
me, I think that would be education. To start,
Education.
like, if I'm to rank it, it would be education, then industrialization and health.
Okay.
So I feel education is like really, really vital, and the Nigerian government over time has ignored the state of education in the country because it is terrible, like very, very terrible. I
Okay.
happen to have my mom lectures in a polytechnic. My brother is currently serving in a polytechnic, and you have people there, supposed undergraduates who have trouble. Like exam malpractice is a norm. Even basic spelling is terrible.
Let me ask you. How old are you yourself?
I am 23.
Are you going to vote this election?
Definitely.
Have you voted in the past?
No, this will be my first.
It's your first time of voting, and your issues are education, industrialization, and all that, right?
Yes.
Is any of these candidates speaking to your issues? Don't tell me the name.
Uh,
I'm just asking if anyone is speaking to your issue.
yes.
So you've
But
seen one that
not
is speaking
my
to your
own
issue.
satisfaction, not at to a level at which I am satisfied at the moment.
Gotcha. But at least it's speaking to it. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate you calling. Very, very important that you make this point, right? I'm going to call in the guys. Guys, I see all your hands up. I just want to clear the deck of the guys that have not spoken. Then I'll come back to Anna and to Okmai. Just clear the deck for put up requests to speak if you don't mind. But I do see your hands. Okay, so Hafiz,
All right.
how you doing? Thank you so much. I appreciate you for calling in. Hafiz, go for it.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for
How you
the.
doing?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you very much for asking and for the opportunity to speak as well. So I'm going to
You're
take
welcome.
a sort of a different direction. I'm not a politician. I'm not good at speaking about politics. So I'm just looking at the state of our economy at this time, and I want to understand something. So for my own knowledge base, right? So at this time, we see central banks across the world, the US Fed trying to increase the interest rates just to beat inflation. So
Yeah.
I want to understand the relationship between inflation, interest rates, and the recession. At what
Hmm.
point does the central bank increase the interest rate to cushion inflation, and at what point does it lead to recession? So I want to understand that relationship just from my own knowledge base. Thank you.
That's a good question. So I can do that very easy for you, right? So inflation destroys your purchasing power. So prices keep on going higher. So the way you kill inflation is called demand destruction. You destroy demand by making money so expensive that no one can afford to buy anything. So the Federal Reserve is going to raise interest rates to kill demand. So folks can no longer buy anything. That will trigger what we call a recession. They want to do a soft landing, but it will trigger what's called a recession, right? Which is going to be minimum 2 quarters of negative growth. So when that happens, everybody comes back to earth and prices fall down to earth. Then you've killed inflation, you can move forward. That's what Mr. Paul Volcker did in the 70s, and that's what they wanted to see they can do now. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Oh, okay. Yeah. To a good extent. Yes. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Hafiz. Hafiz, are you voting this election?
Definitely.
Have you voted in the past before?
Yes, twice.
So twice, so this is going to be your third one. Okay. Do you have a candidate right now? Don't tell me who the candidate is, but do you have a candidate right now?
Of course, I do.
Have you made up your mind?
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you so much, Hafiz, for coming in. Yeah, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. Ekwe, what's up? Ekwe. I've got Ekwe Arinze.
Hi, Carlo.
How you doing?
I'm good. You?
Great. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I just wanted to ask, how do we ensure policy consistency?
Good
Because
question.
I think any of these candidates can come up with really good policies to drive growth, development in Nigeria. But then, after they are done and gone, how do we ensure that we keep on, we are consistent with these policies?
That's a
Say, for
great
example,
question. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
great question.
it's easy to talk about Norway or any of these developed countries, but then we don't look at how they have been able to be consistent with the
Yeah,
policies they put in place, to get to where they are, because it didn't happen after in 8 years.
yeah. I'm going to get Ena to also speak on this answer, but I think the answer is institutions. Institutions. Politicians come and go, but the institutions keep the rules going forward. So, I mean, in America, the president of America cannot go to a local government and pass orders. He cannot. They will arrest him. He can't do it because they have institutions that are kept sane and separate. And if you try to cross your lanes, the Supreme Court will, of course, come and tell you you can't do this and do that. So the problem with Nigeria, I think, is the the breakdown of institutions. That's what's going on. You have the central bank governor. This is supposed to be an independent person running for the office of the president whilst he is giving funds to a party and to individuals of political parties. Isn't that campaign financing? That's what we're talking about. So the institutions have to be made a bit stronger. So whoever's going to be president come 2023 has to rebuild those institutions, in my view. Anna, do you have a comeback on? Do you want to just add on to this?
I might not say, even though APC won PDP, there was some level of continuity in the context of projects, for example.
Yeah.
Every project that Buhari has built and commissioned, the foundation was laid by PDP. So I don't see, and people say PDP's, Jonathan's campaign mantra was transformation agenda. Buhari's campaign mantra was change. So between you and I, what was the difference? Nothing. So there's been continuity. Lagos Ibadan Road is going. The rail lines.
But you have to fix Lagos Ibadan Road. That's not a tough decision to take. I mean, but he stopped some. They stopped Second Niger Bridge and said we're going to review, in quote it, before there was an outcry and they built it back up again. The BVN, he stopped subsidy. They stopped subsidy and said we're going to review subsidy, and then they went back. Nigeria was on the JP Morgan bond index. They stopped that, and then now they have to go back in. So I think he's doing what he has to do. He has to fix the rails. Rails help him to, But in any of those tougher decisions, have they done anything? They didn't continue the agric policies of additional. Who is the new agric minister? No one knows the guy till he was removed. So I think the institutions really have got to do better. That's just what I think, Anna.
I think there's some level of, because the people in government now, from Akpabio to Amechi to Minister of FCT, they were all PDP people. So there's no difference per se. It's Obi now that I think will take the trajectory in a totally different direction. And if you don't forget, Atiku and Tinubu of the same political ancestry, PDM, People Democratic Movement, of the Yadra philosophy. And Albert Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same thinking that created it. I was not looking at Obi even. I was just looking at him by the side. But when I look deeply and was saying we really want change, I'm a researcher. There's what you call incremental innovation. There's what you call radical innovation. I'm not expecting Obi to come and overnight build a refinery or overnight put gas plants everywhere. But the very fact that as a person, and he has demonstrated, is expanded to everything that concerns him, that he runs lean. Lean is the Japanese manufacturing outlook now. So if this man is operating lean, that is a philosophy. That is a Toyota is one of the largest and most profitable companies in the world. It's lean manufacturing. Kazien, Kaban, we can start listing all of them. So by virtue
And I hear you.
By virtue of
somebody,
go on.
And I hear you. Somebody will say that Tinubu has demonstrated the ability to work across teams, which is also Japanese. Someone will tell you that that Atiku has also shown the ability to select good managers, which is also Japanese. I hear you. I hear you.
No, my take is this. We need a different thought pattern. Atiku and of the same political ancestry. We can't just keep going in the same direction. We've tried APC now. We've tried PDP now. This man saved money now. This man is walking, carrying his bag now. Let's just do something different now. Why are we deceiving ourselves?
Okay, Obi.
We can't take the same. We can't take the wrong road. We can't take the wrong road to the right destination. It's not possible. And Norway did it. Norway discovered oil after us. Even if the man is dumb. Let's say the man is okay. Let's assume the man is economically dumb. Forget the team. This man, a stingy man, according to, he will save money. That money will reduce our borrowing cost of borrowing. That money will enable us to aggressively attend to.
Don't let them tag us as. I hear you. And even if I agree with you, and I have to push back, even if I agree with you. So
I didn't arrive at this. One of the things I developed for my doctorate degree was a novel decision model to help align expectations with realities. So I didn't arrive at this place at this point based on my own personal preference. If you leave me, I'll choose someone different. But when I look at where the country is, ERO, emergency, divide sang, emergency, we cannot afford waste again. Let's just start first and go lean. Then after we've gone lean, then we can now start building. That's my take.
Okay, and I hear you. Let me have this guy better. I don't want to. I see your DP, Anselm Solomon. So I don't want. There's no. You can't do any campaign. Better. You have the floor.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, I'm warning you before you talk. I've seen DP, so I want you to
I don't have any plan to campaign, man. Good evening, Mr. Kalu.
Preemptive strike on you. How you doing, sir? Where are you calling from?
I'm good. Southwestern Nigeria.
Southwest. Excellent. What's on your mind?
I'll go straight to the point and I'll try to be as brief as possible.
Thank you.
About policies, man. We just need, let's say, should I say we or I, whatever policies they want to bring up, we just need a policy that will be able to grant people that want to, let's say, build infrastructures in Nigeria for Nigeria, especially for their businesses. But you're not going to build this in the air now. If you're building it on the ground, Nigerians too are going to benefit by such infrastructures. I mean, like roads and whatever it is. Like we have instances where, let's say Ogun State, for instance, we have bad roads in places where numerous companies are operating.
Yeah.
You and I know that these companies will, or should I say, don't like the state of that road, but because of they just can't embark on a project to make that road pliable.
Yeah.
They will just sit down and not touch it. You understand? Because it's general knowledge that if you embark on such projects, the local government or the government will come after you because you are trying to block where they used to use and eat money. You understand? You can't even go about clearing drainages in places like Lagos that suffer flood. While I was in Lagos, let's say before 2004, I walked through flood to school, and up to today, they are still having that issue. Ordinary citizens can't just go about clearing drainages so that they're going to prevent flood because of the laws or the powers that be will not have that, because they need that stuff to be bad so that they'll be able to collect money.
Let me ask you in quote a silly question because I'm looking at your DP. So in terms of the policy, give me the policy that Peter Obi is going to do that would allow you. What have you heard him say that will connect what you're saying now to a policy or a statement he has made in the past?
I will hold on to your warning. You understand? I will not want to talk anything concerning any candidate, but I'm just fixating on the topic. Policies, please. We just whoever gets up there.
Yeah.
We just need policies that will be able to grant Nigerians. Let's say, for instance, you own a bank in Nigeria and you need good roads linking everything. You are going to fund it. You just need to consult one or two authorities that will like have you go through some certain scrutiny before allowing. It's not like they're going to say no, this government project, this federal road. No, if you are going to do it, they're just going to like, yeah, you guys are going to engage yourself, and before you know,
I
they will
just
grant.
make this thing easier to get done. Like, just take away all this bureaucracy. Just make it easy.
Exactly. Thank you
I
very
hear you,
much.
and
Yeah.
I agree with that completely. Let me just take something. Like I said, at the very very top, right?
Okay.
Amongst the three, if you are a brand new person, and maybe I'm being biased, if you're a brand new person, right? Which guy do you think will open up the doors for a fresh investor or fresh contractor without any you don't know anyone in government, you want to do a job? Which of the candidates do you think will open up the door? That's what I'm asking now. Who do you think you can go to the government and say, I have a proposal for this, and you're not part of a political party, or you don't have a big family name, or you don't have the money? Which guy do you think will allow you do that? That's one question I did speak at the beginning of the topic, and I said I think it's more for
We all know.
PTP. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Better.
Hello. Can
Yeah.
I can I just
No,
okay? Can I?
no, I'm gonna move on to the next guy.
Okay. Okay. No biggie.
I
Thank you for.
appreciate you calling in. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Temi
Yeah.
Tayo, I've got you next.
Thank you, Kalu, for this opportunity. I think for me, my own is restructuring. I've said
What
it
does that
on this
mean?
page.
What does that mean?
What that means is basically decentralization of Nigeria's economic powers, such as power, such as control of resources. Look, over 34 states in Nigeria cannot pay their own salaries.
That's
If you
crazy.
stop education today, 34 states of Nigeria are bankrupt. What does that mean in a financial or a business point of view? 34 states in Nigeria, if their businesses should be insolvent and taken over by another by a bank or by what's it called, or by creditors. What Nigeria needs now is a president that has the, and I'm not saying this in a sexist manner, the balls, to first of all go to the National Assembly and say every state must be financially capable. Look, there's no more money to share, whether we like it or not. Every state in Nigeria, all 36 states, have to be. Zamfara has gold. What are we doing with Zamfara's gold? We hear about
I can give you an answer. There's the amount of money paid to the budget from soil minerals is zero naira.
my state in Nigeria has my Ondo has we have bitumen in Ondo State. Nigeria still imports bitumen. How can you as a president make sure that every state in Nigeria is able to use at least one or two national resources or even agricultural products to first of all be competitive? I need a president that can bring back competition into the country, in the sense that every state, if I as a governor now want to have a private jet, I don't care if you want to have a private jet, but you should be able to afford it. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't care, because it's, let me tell you something, it's sweet to ball on other people's money. If Mr. Kalu is taking me to the club now and is going to buy me champagne, I can order anything. I can order Azul, I can order anything I want. But the moment you tell me to pay it with my own money, I would think twice.
Everybody stop, right? Yeah.
I would put things into. I would think, okay, I have a rent to pay at the end of the month. Okay, I have this to do. Look, every governor in Nigeria right now is basically apart from maybe Lagos, Rivers, and maybe Akwa Ibom, who are the sovereign states. They are all basically just babies with sugar daddies at the moment. They're just
Let
waiting at
me
the
give
end
you
of.
the exact numbers, Timidayo. Only Lagos, Rivers, and Anambra can pay their expenses from IGR. Akwa Ibom cannot. Akwa Ibom is still getting money
I
from
read Akwa Ibom was one of them. Okay.
Yeah, Akwa Ibom is still getting money from FARC. So if you take away FARC, only Lagos, Rivers, and Anambra can survive.
Okay, so you see, it's a huge problem. That means creditors, or they should come and take over the remaining states. So
and tell me, I spoke about this at the very, very top, and I said, right, that the structure of Nigeria is faulty because states cannot tax. States collect payee. So in the constitution, primary schools is by the local governments. Then states also have a lot of things that they also run. but states don't tax. They tax
That's
a
what I'm
year.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
So I agree with you then. I'm
Give
saying
them the opportunity first of
correct. You have to allow states to run as states. Let states also tax private sector. It will be more tax, I agree. But then you can then have states who say, I'm going to reduce my taxes to attract workers. So Anambra or Abia can say, I'm going to do 2% corporate income tax. Lagos can say 20% corporate income tax to fix their bridges and all that. Then you have an economy of competition where states are competing against each other. That's the way we should go.
And what you would have very soon if we're not careful, and which is my prediction, no matter who comes into office, bring Obi, bring Tinubu, bring Atiku. In the next 10 to 20 years, what you would have, see, let me tell you something. When something is not working and you want to, or if something is what's it called? If something is broken and you keep polishing it, every time with new ideas or with new what's it called? New solutions, and just keep polishing it, and you don't actually solve it. That thing that is broken, the cracks will soon open very soon, and it will bust right in your face, and the impact will be felt even at a larger scale.
Well, I
What
mean,
we
the
now,
question, the question is really this: Nigerians want direction and they follow. Look at when 1983, there was a campaign called "War Against Indiscipline." They said people should line up to go into a bus. Don't throw dirt on the road. After 3 months, everybody was doing it. There was no policeman around, but everybody was lining up. People need to see that the leadership is doing certain things. Like if you have 8 years of a leader doing the right thing, no one can go back. No one can go. When the Lagos State start wearing seatbelts, tell me that.
I
Tell me
disagree.
when the Lagos start wearing seatbelts.
Mr. Kalu,
When?
I disagree. Should I tell
Yeah,
you why
but
I
I'm
disagree?
listening.
Because first of all, people say, "Oh, Mr. Obi transformed Anambra. Anambra is Las Vegas on earth. Anambra is Houston on earth. Anambra is this and that." They invested in education and all. What is Anambra today? What has
What is
really
it? What is it today? Answer the question. What is it today? Has education gone down in Anambra?
education might not have gone down, but
Exactly.
the economy and the debt level of people and how they talk about Anambra has
But the
gone.
man said, let's go with your point. The man said he took Anambra from the 24th position to the first position in the entire nation. That's what he did. So what's Anambra
That's
today in education?
and that's just in education. I'm talking
I know, but he can't do everything, man. So the point I'm making is that Lagos State have done a lot of right now. Lagos State is infrastructure. No governor from Lagos will come in and not do infrastructure. It's impossible. Rufai came to Abuja, right, to hear your point, and did a lot of clean up of Abuja. He left the place. He won't come back to the dogs because he's federal. He come and go. But I'm
No, I'm
saying
saying that if there's a system that I'm sorry to cut you, if there's a system that encourages competition, if there's a system that encourages innovation, see if I'm a son of a rich man and I'm getting money every day, I don't need to work, bro. I can just sit down in my house, buy. The next thing I'm thinking of is how to buy my next car, how to buy my next house. I don't care about work. If there's
and
competition,
that's
if
the same. That's the
innovation,
same
them,
everywhere in the world. Rich
that's
people, Hunter Biden isn't working. I mean, rich people everywhere don't work. The point is that Nigeria has no laws that are enforceable. We don't enforce the laws. That's the main problem. The
so.
rule of law.
Mr. Carlo, are you thinking that with this current system, the economy can still work?
No, I said that 2023 is what I'm looking forward to. That's what I'm telling you.
No,
That
I'm
this
saying that I'm saying even if you bring in the best president that has the mind of the people, you think a president can operate and work on this federal system? Do you
yes,
think, and every
yes,
state in Nigeria,
Yes.
every
yes,
state in Nigeria will be working?
yes.
I
You
disagree.
need once you bring in a leader. Look at NAFDAC and Dora Akunyili. Look at Erufai and Abuja. One
So
tree can make a forest in
so
Nigeria.
for
One tree can
example,
make a forest.
how
You
can how
need. I'm listening.
okay? So is NAFDAC doing better now? Is NAFDAC
That's the
still doing?
point I'm making. But she got in there and she fixed it. But she's
Carlo,
federal.
both of you are right, and let me come in.
Go ahead.
In the case of Obi, I'll tell you something. Success without succession is almost failure. And I'll tell you, Obiano was not the person that Obi picked to succeed him. Obiano was here in Houston when the person that he presented was rejected by the, let's say, cabal, like the political wing of ABGA. He had to backtrack and brought Obiano as an example. I'll give you another example. In Akwa Ibom State, Victor Atta was governor from 1999 to 2003. When he was to leave, he was to hand over to his son-in-law, sorry. Guess what? Obasanjo frustrated that effort. Instead, Akpabio became governor. There was a refinery project which Atta was pursuing. What am I saying? Why I'm saying he is also right. If you develop for 8 years and you do not ensure that who comes after you is your person, you would have wasted time. What do I mean? When Trump was leaving office as a Republican, a liter of fuel in the US was $2.50. $2.50. Today, a liter of fuel is $5. Why? Immediately a new government came, they changed directions. The Republicans are pro-fossil fuel, while the Democrats are pro-environmental conservation. So no matter what you did, Trump boost the economy 100%. But how come he's boosting the economy? Immediately he left. Biden goes in a different direction, and the price of a fuel a liter just doubled. So the other guy is right, and you are right.
Can I ask a question? Do you
Okay, go
believe
on.
that?
Can I say something? Can you hear
Can I
me?
ask a question,
Yeah,
Mr.
Kevin,
Kelvin?
you can jump in, but let Temtai just hop in. Then
Do you
Temtai, you can
believe
always jump in.
saying that whoever becomes American president tomorrow or next tomorrow, they have a system that works
That's the
and
thing. They have the institutions. True.
almost works on an autopilot system. So even if me, Temitayo, who is just a 20-something-year-old boy, you put me in office tomorrow and I decide I want to just sleep and wake up and don't even think so much about the economy. The country, yes, I might mess up in a few instances. Yes, the people might be crying, but they will never come to, like, they can never crash
I
almost.
disagree with you. Let's look at projects in the US. A rail of
Temitayo,
a
let
kilometer.
me add, Temitayo,
Okay, go on.
there's something Temitayo said. I wanted to add on to it. Good evening, everyone. I apologize for coming late today. I'm sorry. It's not in my character. Temitayo talked about the US. It's important for us to understand that in America, they have what they call Council of Economic Advisors, CEA. And what the Council of Economic Advisors do is they do like a medium to long-term economic framework development for the US economy, which is similar to what the Politburo in the Chinese Communist Party does. The Politburo is like an elite group of advisors and policymakers in the Chinese Communist Party in China. And the reason why I like what Temitayo said is because Nigeria is like a ship without a rudder, it's rudderless. The Council of Economic Advisors in Nigeria literally not effective. I had a private conversation with someone who is close to the chief economic advisor to the current president, and the report I got is not very nice. I'm not going to say what he told me, but the report is not nice. So Nigeria needs like a medium to long-term economic framework that can stretch to 40, 50 years, such that when a new president comes, for example, you can take the policies, extrapolate on it, pick what you want to pick, add what you want to add, but you don't go away from the direction. For example, last year, and when Biden won, he started in January, he was inaugurated as president. The first thing he did, I noticed, was that he ordered for a review of the US supply chain, from semiconductors to raw material inputs. And the reason why I think that is very strategic is because COVID proved that America was relying too much on Southeast Asia for inputs on so many things. And then the Russia-Ukraine war has also confirmed that point, that America is relying too much on Southeast Asia. To review that model of design in California and manufactured in China you see on your iPhone might change over a period of time. Now, coming back to Nigeria, coming back home, and talking about this federal system, a presidential system of governance works, I think it does. But I think that we fail to understand that there's too much power concentrated on the center. Okay? There needs to be fiscal federalism. There needs to be a devolution of powers. If you see the principles of derivation, the equity of states, landmass, population, and I think there's a fourth point. IGR is the fourth point. Five principles, I can remember four now. You will see immediately that it doesn't make sense for you to have a federal structure where the government collects taxes and it gets royalties, and then it shares to the state based on these principles of derivation, which is the foundation on which the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Allocation Commission was established. Then if you see the argument of the state governors on them saying that, oh, let us collect VAT ourselves. The case is currently before the bench of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is here to hear the case. Let's collect VAT ourselves. The state and attorney generals of 30 states, I think, against the federal government. You see that that is a very
Kevin, you're the Matrix. What's up? Kevin is cut off again. I think Temi.
very
I don't
important
think we're
reason
arguing.
why
I think we.
the federal government needs to. You said?
Kevin, if you can hear me, your network is kind of spotty, so you're in the Matrix. If you're going to fix that, right? Let me just see if we can move along. Yeah, Temi, at least just to summarize, so we can move and maybe get some other folks to speak. I think your comments are well taken. I'm pushing back because I'm just the host, right? Kevin, can you hear me now? Your internet is spotty a bit. Yes. Kelvin, I can hear you. If you can hear me, go ahead, or I'm just going to move on. All right. So, Temi, just to say, even though I have to push back as the host, but your comments are well taken. We have to, like someone has said earlier, institutions, right? The answer is after 8 years, we need people that can hold us to account institutionally to make sure that we do the right thing. Okpe, your hand has been up for a while. What do you want to add, Okpe?
Yeah, so I mean, so someone said something about population, and it kind of triggered me, right? And because I mean, I saw a tweet by Governor of Ondo today about the fallout from the war, whatever, and it occurred to me that, except I'm wrong, and I'm happy to be corrected, right? State governments in Nigeria do not control population census.
They do not.
Exactly. So I mean, how are you budgeting? Like, what is the basis of your budget as a state? Because I mean, top of my head now, I know Lagos budgets in billions. I know maybe Osun budgets in the first 10 of billions, right? But I mean, states generally in Nigeria budgets in billions of naira. So how exactly, what is the basis of your budget when you don't have a sense of a population? You don't know how many disabled are in your state. You don't know how many children are being born in your state. You don't know how many people are between the ages.
But let me push up. Okay, go for it.
So what exactly? I mean, because when the guy mentioned population, like, so what exactly are you budgeting 246 billion for every year? Where exactly? When you don't even have the basic demographic of your population, like, what exactly?
You can't get that number. Census in Nigeria is a political and security information. We've never had a census in this country that has worked from 1954.
Yeah, I know all of that, right? Like, I know, right? I mean, like, I understand the nuances, within the South and the North. I'd always opine that maybe at some point Bayelsa should start counting fishes, and maybe on those states should start counting cocoa leaves. But I mean, beyond all of that, right? Beyond all of that politics, right? Because I'm not interested in the politics tonight, right? I mean, but I mean, how are you budgeting for a state without having the number of people you are budgeting for? So I mean, Kalu, if you can answer the question, like, so what is the basis of your budget?
I mean, budget performance. You have to budget, right? You have to budget. Even if you can't, you have to still budget. You have to guesstimate or estimate or reach a conclusion by other statistical formulas. You have to have something. It's better than at least fail with a number than not having anything up. But that's what I think. Let me get Johnny. Thanks for holding on. Johnny, you are open to speak. That's J. Chindu. Go ahead, sir. J. Chindu.
All right.
Hey, what's up?
Thank you. Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me.
No worries.
Here in some place in Nigeria, apparently. So I'm happy to listen to Nigerians talk about their issues as Nigerians. I'm happy with the level of political awareness that is presently ongoing amongst Nigerians. It didn't used to be like this in the previous election cycles in which I've voted in. Nigeria. Is there a reason why Nigeria is not a functioning nation? Why is there so much dysfunction in our country? Nothing works. In terms of education, I mean, ASU university students have been on strike.
Yeah, Johnny,
we know
that. But what's on your mind? We know all those problems. What's on your mind? What policy, what action do you want to see this cycle? What's driving you really?
For me, policy I want to see, the economic policy I want to see, is an economic policy which attracts foreign direct investments into Nigeria. It's an economic policy where young Nigerian adults are gainfully employed and not underemployed. For me, it's an economic policy that leads to having Nigerian brand identities. I'll give you an example. I mean, when you talk about the Mazda, you know a Mazda is a Japanese product. When you talk about the Hyundai, you know it's a South Korean product. When you talk about the Toyota, you know it's a Japanese product. When you talk about Boeing, Airbus, like you get the drift. I mean, it should be an economic policy that leads to brand identity in Nigeria, whereby we have our own production companies, not necessarily assembling in Nigeria, but production companies.
What's wrong with assembling in Nigeria?
There's nothing wrong with assembling. There's nothing wrong with assembling. There's nothing wrong with assembling, really. But I feel that where we have our own brand identities as a country puts us in a better stead, in a better place to negotiate in the in world trade. Makes you proud to be a Nigerian. It gives our Nigerian passports.
All right, I hear you. So let me ask the coach question. Are you voting this cycle? Are you going to vote this cycle?
Definitely.
Is it your first time voting?
No. I've been voting since 2011.
Do you have a candidate? Don't tell me your candidate, but do you have a candidate right now you're going to vote for? Is your mind made up?
I have a candidate.
Excellent. Just trying to get a pool of folks that calling. Johnny, thanks so much. I'm going to move along. So let's just add to you guys. I appreciate you calling in. All right, Victor, how you doing, sir? Victor, come off mute, sir. Olusegun 1 in 1. How you doing?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Kalu.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm good, my brother. My contribution to this debate tonight is just to speak a bit to young Nigerians. Because how does politics and policies affect economy? This is what this topic is about.
Yeah.
And what I have noticed in the last 24 years is that we keep getting it wrong because we put our emotions well above what needs to be done to get our country moving. Now, this election cycle, there is one thing that the last 24 years has proven, is that Nigeria cannot make progress with the current structure of the politics and the economy because it's a rent structure. And if we want to do an election now to choose a new candidate, we have to face the reality that the candidate that we want to choose has to be the one who has not only the capacity, the structure, and the ability to change the structure of our politics and economy.
Give me an example, be specific. Pick one of your favorite policies and which one can change.
Now, basically, Nigeria needs 4 constitutional amendments.
You are going constitutional. I want the economy. Which policy do you think we'll go for? Because I want to keep it to the economic side, if you don't mind.
Okay. So, for example, let me tell you why APC of Buhari failed. They claim that they are a market economy party, so to say. But when they came in 2015, 2 things happened in succession. A drop in oil price and a cut in supply. And a market economy party is supposed to automatically respond by floating the naira.
Mm-hmm.
But they now have a president who has the mindset of a socialist.
Mm-hmm.
So he was regulating a currency he does not print, which we all know will not work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the simple failure of Buhari regime over the 7 years and his inability to change course.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing Buhari has done wrong in the last 7 years, if you ask me. Every other thing he has done very well, but the fact that he's trying to regulate something that he should have floated, and that's the problem. So if we look at it economically, that's how that politics has affected our economy and taking us to where we are today.
Victor, I agree with you completely. I think that particular currency capital poll and all that is very, very key.
No, it's simple economics. You don't control this thing. When it goes out of your hand, just float it. It's simple because it's like water. You allow it to find its level.
Even though that will cause unemployment, that would cause
it will cause whatever, and that's what America is doing now in their economy. Demand destruction, which means you stop people from buying things.
Who is saying that?
You get what I'm saying, Kalu?
Is that you? I'm just the moderator, so yeah, I hear you. But someone jumped and said no producing. I'll tell you who that was.
So now we have gone in the bush for 7 years because of a strong man's mindset, nothing else. Because I'm sure all the economic advisor in the last 7 years will have advised him. And I used to blame Emefiele until his last interview when he said that Emefiele is doing very well, which means that he was actually the one.
You mean presidential candidate Emefiele? I'm just clarifying who you are talking about.
No, not that one. This one is maybe the central bank governor.
Oh, the central bank. I apologize. I do apologize. Yeah.
So, in the next election cycle, you see, and I know, and I'm going to be honest with you, the current APC candidate is not a honest man or a prudent man or any of those things.
Let's not do that. I want you, if you're grab him on the policy thing. Grab him on the policy.
Okay. But what is important for me is to know that he is a market-minded person.
Sure.
He will follow through the market policy, which Peter Obi will not, because now Nigeria has to make a choice. And I have seen Peter Obi's suggestion as a wrong suggestion. You have a choice to either baking more cake or stopping people from eating cake. Peter Obi has said, I want to stop people from eating cake. But at the point where we are right now, it's not about stopping people from eating cake. Because the dollar situation, what Buhari did, was allow everybody that had capital to sit on their capital for the last 7 years. So what we need for the next 7 years or 8 years is everybody that have capital bringing the capital to the table.
I hear you, Victor. I'm going to move on, Victor. But let me just say, I think I hear people be saying, I don't want people to eat cake. Let them go and eat bread because we make cassava bread, not imported cake. But I hear you. I hear you. Let me get.
But the important thing is let's bake more cake.
Why should we bake more cake if we can't afford cake? That's, I think, this point is making. We can't bake cake if we can't afford cake.
Okay, so the problem is that, you see, when people have been used to eating cake for 24 years, yeah? Hello?
I'm here with you.
And suddenly cake becomes scarce.
You have to cut Victor, you have to cut your coat according to the cloth, not the size.
No, I agree, but that is behavior modification. You see, one of the most difficult things to achieve in economics is to use human behavior modification to achieve economy. That's the most difficult thing. Nobody can stop me from drinking whiskey. I don't care if my whiskey is 100,000 today.
Victor, if you don't have any money, you won't drink any whiskey. That's what we're saying.
I will find that money to drink the whiskey.
Any money whiskey. If there is no money, you will not drink that whiskey. End of story. That is where it stops now. Will you steal? I
don't think humans accept that thing that easily.
I hear you, Victor. Victor, I completely hear you. I agree with you, Victor.
When you try to modify their behavior.
We will learn it by force, because if you cannot afford yeast, imported sugar, imported milk, imported black currants to put in that nice cake and cook, you eat agege bread. You eat agege bread for now. Then when you have money, you buy cake again. I think that's what he's saying. But I'm not speaking for him.
I agree with what he's saying, but I am saying that where we are today, you see, sometimes you have a solution for a time, isn't it? Like the Bible will say, every vision is for a time, isn't it?
Yes.
Our elites in the country have proven that they are not interested in a consensus that cuts their consumption. Do you agree?
They will learn by force. Victor, let's move on. They will learn it by force. No problem. Let me get Andrew in. Andrew, good day. Andrew Iyaji.
Iyaji. Thank you very much.
I apologize. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. I see that we can release a lot of capital, a lot of money into the system by releasing debt capital. Debt capital in our land use system, debt capital in our ports, debt capital in infrastructure, especially fiber. Excuse me, internet fiber. Excuse me, internet fiber connectivity. Low-hanging fruits, other low-hanging fruits are there, like agriculture, and I'm talking about subsidy. That is a directed subsidy, something that you can measure and see the effect. Yeah. Not giving money to cronies or subsidy in name, but from which people steal from. You know, that is what we should be subsidizing, and not our fuel, not our energy consumption. So I
subsidize production that creates local jobs and not importing. Okay.
Exactly. And I would also want to see strong institutions. I want to see an INEC that will not be beholden to somebody or a group of persons who is giving orders not to register some people, group of persons. I would like to see strong, independent, institutions. So that everybody is subject to it. So I don't think there will be a good, complete economic emancipation if there is no backing legislation. So even though you say that shouldn't be mentioned, but I think it's something that will have to be done by and by. So that's my point, really.
Thank you so much.
The ports, the land, fiber, and so on.
I completely agree with you. Once we get that consumption pattern right, move the money to the right places, then you then see that growth. Oladayo, thank you for waiting. What's up, sir?
Thank you so much, Kalu. And I just want to speak to 4 or 5 things, and I will rush through. Beginning with a point that was made about leadership. I think one of the earlier speakers, 2 or 3 of them, pose a question to suggest that the current system we have in place cannot deliver productivity or progress. And I want to differ. In the last 20 plus years of democracy, this same system has been able to deliver 6.5 growth back to back for a period of 3 to 5 years. So my point here is that even if we were to stick to the current structure as it were, but if we get the leadership right, it can deliver a different result from what we have seen in the last 7 years. And I love that in your intervention as well, you pointed to the examples of El-Rufai as minister in the FCT, the same as Obi as governor of Anambra State, and the Asiwaju that we also talked about in Lagos. Leadership is a critical part of any change process, and I thought I should emphasize that. That's the first salve I wanted to make. The second is now to focus more on the policies, since that's the interest here. I think that for me, the most important thing we need to focus on, which should occupy the attention of the next president, is how to boost revenue in this country. And we can do that quite a number of ways. I'm sure there are, litany of
but you
experts.
have to, but just focus on you boost revenue. Let me ask you a question, sir, in all honesty to you. Are you talking about from 2023 or now? This is boosting revenues. When are you talking about it?
I'm really talking about 2023.
Gotcha.
But I also feel that whatever I say now can apply to the current time.
Because if God floats down from earth and gives this administration $1 trillion, they are going to spend $500 billion to import PMS, and NAS is going to build a new NAS, and the money will go. So
maybe what you need to do is to actually hear me talk about how I see us boosting revenue, because you're very correct that even if whatever angel will come down and give them the money, unless they choose to do the right thing, we won't see the impact. Now, boosting revenue for me, 2 or 3 broad things to say here. First is to look at how do we increase generation, the revenue source coming into the country. The second is how do we block leakages. And in blocking leakages, you can just pick your pen and do some quick. If we were to stop subsidy today, $7.3 billion per annum or $3 trillion is saved. For this year alone,
$4 trillion.
$4 trillion for this year alone will go into subsidy. If we block that, that can go into something more productive. And to imagine that this same subsidy we are talking about actually rose from $450 billion in 2020 to $4 trillion in 2022. I mean, point us to what is possible or what can happen by the end of into 2023 if we do nothing about it. So block leakages, cut wastes. Quite easily, anyone that is aware of the Orosanye report, for me, today's Nigeria, that report remains relevant. If we go back to that report, there are significant recommendations on how to cut waste in government. We need, and this can be controversial, Nigeria needs a unicameral system. We need to get rid of the Senate. And that's why I say it can be controversial. It's been done elsewhere. But unless we get rid of this Senate that has become a retirement home.
Okay, I don't want to get political, but Senate is equal. Senate is equal representation. House is not equal. So if you get rid of the Senate, Kano gets more votes than Abia.
Kalu, I'll leave it. We can always work it out. But it has been done.
Okay.
Go to Senegal. It has been done. It is possible for Nigeria to become a unicameral system. But I'll leave that. So boost revenue. The second thing that I think is significant for the incoming government, it's about education. In the Northeast, Yobe State, 83% of young people are not educated. Young male are not educated. I'm referring. This is a 2015 figure. The figure might have improved in the last 6-7 years. It's the same in Borno State, in Adamawa State, which is what explains the insecurity and the terrorism that we have seen rising in that region. If you don't educate the young people there, it will remain a cannon fodder for crisis and for insecurity. The same can be seen playing out in the Northwest today. Therefore, a government that really wants to tackle insecurity and catalyze production in the country will focus on educating its people. Only people can lift themselves out of poverty, not government. Doing that will mean focusing and investing massively on education. Thirdly,
Oladayo, the 3 points have to be bullet points because I have to get through it, if you don't mind.
Okay. So the third bullet point, we need to be able to feed ourselves. If we can't feed ourselves, inequality will continue to spread, poverty will spread. So how do we feed ourselves? Fourthly, and this is the final point, I think that in the last 22 years, this economy has focused more on input. In the last 4 years, this is what I mean by input. Federal government alone has appropriated over 100 trillion. No one is paying attention to what is the impact of this 100 trillion. And this is just a back of the envelope calculation. 100 trillion has gone into this economy, but nobody is able to explain why 10.5 million children out of school 5 years ago has grown to 18 million out of school children today. No one is able to explain why today, in spite of the investments in infrastructure development over the last 22 years, a significant portion of Nigeria is unpaved. There is housing deficit, power deficit. I mean, there are so many questions that we can ask in spite of 100 trillion investment in this economy. So those 4 things, let's boost our revenue, let's deal with education, let's be able to feed ourselves, and finally, let's become fixated on monitoring and evaluating whatever goes into this economy so that, like someone said earlier, we begin to hold ourselves accountable. I yield the mic. Thanks, Kalu.
Thank you so much. I added Kelvin. I don't know where he went to again. I added Kelvin, and if you see Kelvin, add him, or if you see Kelvin, add him. Champion, what's up, sir?
Oh, thank you. I am your brother. I am from Zimbabwe. I just wanted to bring new things to you guys to say, guys, Africa as a whole, it's just universal in the sense that the people whom we are saying our policymakers, they have got a problem of being supporters of the incumbents. That's where the problem is, because we look at people who are supposed to make policies. They must make policies and they have to be bold enough in order for them to make sure that whatever policy comes must be followed without any recourse. Then we do have got problems with institutions that are not being independent and that are not capacitated, because they are almost captured in the sense that they do not serve the purpose of the people, but serve the purpose of the leaders. I think that's one of the things that is making Africa not to grow, because look, we do have got leakages and corruption. Why do we have such kind of issues? It's because our institutions are not working in one way or the other. That's something that even also happening even in my country. So when I look at these things, I look at them universally over Africa. Then when it comes to the issues which have to do with the policies are not inclusive enough. the policies are not transparent, of which you we need people who or leaders who can be able to make sure that those institutions, policy making, and leakages can be let me say, they have to make sure that there are no leakages, there is no corruption, because what is destroying Africa? Sorry?
No, Champion, I'm fine. I just said that since I have a Zimbabwean here, I want to ask you a question about inflation. Could I go ahead?
Okay. Yes, thank you.
So Nigeria is experiencing inflation, right? We've not yet gotten to Zimbabwe level, but Zimbabwe did not handle inflation really, really well. What is the danger for the ordinary Nigerian, in your view? I don't know if you went through that period. If inflation should keep on rising to, say, 20%, what to keep, like, not the economic side, the real side? What is the danger for Nigerians that we're not really looking at? If you could speak to that.
All right. With inflation, as we look at it, inflation has got the issue of eroding purchasing power and also eroding savings that you have been making for some time. Because during the time of inflation, remember, it comes to a point where you have to know that the one of the functions of money as a store of value, it's no longer operating as such. So what will be the issue? The issue is that whatever you are going to get from your salary and so forth has lost its purchasing power, meaning that the real wages are less as compared to nominal wages. What is increasing is nominal wages only. But the real, in terms of the purchasing power, there is an issue of not be able to buy that basket which you always buy. I'm looking at the consumer price index, right? To say whatever you were buying last month is no longer being bought this month. So the problem will be you are going to have loss of wealthy, even also in terms of social development. You may find that some people, they may end up killing each other because they are saying to themselves, we don't, the economy is not serving us in any form. So the problem with inflation is that it erodes wealthy. That's
so
the problem.
How are you guys surviving? I mean, do you guys get paid week to week or month to month?
In order for you to survive from that, I think you need a hedge, like to invest in US dollar. I think that is the only way that can get you out of this problem.
So that's what Zimbabwe guys will take their currency and buy US dollar. Like when you get paid, is that what you guys were doing? You would buy US dollar?
Yes, people are buying US dollars in terms in more than their currency. In actual sense, they have already ditched their currency because the currency is not working, since it is, I think right now it's 1 US dollar is to 700. So that's where the problem is right now, that no one has got confidence in the currency.
But when it was like, say, 1 to 1 trillion, how was that working? You get paid your salary, 1 trillion Zimbabwean dollars. I mean, what do you do?
To reach to that point, what happened was they introduced what can I say, this policy of trying to control prices. So by trying to control prices, people would empty shelves buying those goods, or they are no longer selling at that price that is not attractive, but they distribute goods through black market or parallel market. I can even give you an example of whereby a SIM card which was being sold in exchange of a beast or a cow. So that was another problem that we had.
You use a cow to buy a SIM card. Oh my God.
I'm serious, my brother. That was very, very.
It's good to have you give us that perspective, because we are talking about the policies of the next president, and right now we're facing inflation. I know it won't get to 1,000 level in Nigeria, but we just watched that inflation is rearing its head, food inflation. So we just want to understand how this works, how you can get paid 1 trillion in currency and it's worthless. It's amazing to hear that from you. So I appreciate you stopping in to tell us that. Any other lessons for us? Any other thing we should watch out for?
I think maybe I don't necessarily know how it is being structured, but is your central bank an independent one? Because what I was hearing
Oh,
from
you are looking for trouble. Well, our central bank by law is independent, and the governor is supposed to be independent. But the governor of the central bank this time around was running for the presidency. So I don't know. He is not independent, but the institution of the central bank is independent. That's the way I'll answer it.
and does he have what is the mandate of your central bank? Is it to maintain the currency or to stabilize the currency or not? Because remember, if you are not trying what is called inflation targeting, then there's a problem, because you have to anticipate the level of inflation that you may be able to tolerate, and from there you now have to use policy instruments which you can try to use.
He is more of it's inflation, price stability. So I would say inflation targeting. They have a corridor, they try to maintain within that corridor and all that. So it's price stability, that's their main focus, and they also manage the exchange rate of the currency. So I mean, we have the policies right. It's just the personalities that we are struggling with. So hopefully we'll get it right. I appreciate you, champion. I do appreciate you. You guys always have nice names from Zimbabwe. So thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you to all my brothers and sisters who are on the platform. God bless you.
Amen, amen, amen. Kada, what's up? Kada NGBALE. Did I get it right?
Yes, you got it right.
How you doing?
I am doing very well. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
You're welcome.
I remember the last spaces we had here talking about policy ahead of policy ahead of the politics.
Yeah.
One of the last speakers towards the end of the spaces highlighted the importance of mining. And this is a key area where I am particularly interested in. And I feel it has been neglected for so long. After we had nationalized the mining sector in the late 80s, no, the 70s rather, going into the 80s, nothing serious has been done. But over time, recently, so much has been done, even with the present government that has earmarked about 5 billion naira for artisanal miners in the Bank of Industry. I don't think that fund has been utilized that much. And one other key thing I want us to note is if a government would look into this sector. I know mining is capital intensive and it's not a short-term thing, but there are low-hanging fruits and there are areas and certain mineral deposits that we can exploit in the immediate term, because the lifespan of a mine usually is short, and you would get to see that before you get to develop a mine fully, it takes you about 5 years. We know how long Segilola, was around before they even started getting the gold deposits they have been extracting in Osun State. A large part of Nigeria has mineral deposits in it. And if a government will come in and look into this sector with valuable partnerships from countries like Botswana, who have moved on ahead, and even Ghana besides us, even though I know Ghana has its challenges, it still has problems with artisanal mining also, the Galamsey thing that they have there. But this is one critical area I think any government would want to look at going forward. And we're not just going to get substantial investments, we are also going to help improve on our expertise in this area, because it's a knowledge sector. It's based on knowledge. There are two key things that we can benefit from this, which is digital infrastructure and communication. Yeah, I'm listening.
No, I get you completely. I think that's a big missed opportunity for Nigeria. I mean, if you look at the globe right now, we only have two sectors in the entire world that are posting returns. If you look at sector-wise, energy and commodities. So we're talking about wheat, agricultural, and also those copper, those commodities. And Nigeria is filled with commodities that we haven't touched. Like we said,
Exactly.
the budget is zero. Zero currency has gone to the budget from the sale, marketing, extraction, licenses of solid minerals. You have to ask the question, where is that money going to? Are we seeing there's no activity in that sector? So where is the money going to? And that's what's driving conflict. That's what's driving conflict. I think, for me, I think banditry is the cover to mine gold. So you get a few guys, give them guns, attempt to terrorize villages. The villages move out so that you can mine gold. And we haven't really put a handle on that. And that is all about mining, really, gold up there in Northeast. So good point you're making. I hope the next president will take mining because it's job creation, right? It's job creation, it's national security to focus on mining. You get a lot of people employed if you bring in an institution that can have a corporate in there with lots of opportunities for folks to learn and also to earn. I agree with you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because I'm scared, like for my own home, sorry to cut you.
Yeah, go
for
for
my
it.
own home state, I'm scared of what is happening in Zamfara State. I am from Adamawa State, and I know the amount of deposits we have here, across board. And I'm only scared that if this opportunity is not seized, the banditry is going to expand and grow with a growing number of youths who are not employed at present.
Yeah. It's a worry. It's definitely a worry and something to put our eyes on. It's part of the policy stuff we're talking about. Not just to say insecurity, but tying that insecurity to the economy and saying this is definitely something we want to take a peek at. So it's a good call out for us to watch carefully. So I agree with you on that. Yeah. Thanks, Kada. Thanks for always being there and I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Yeah.
The solution is what China
Ena, go
did.
for it.
The solution is what China did. China is 1.3 billion people. So what China did, South Korea and China share similar topographical and climatic conditions. But South Korean farmers are 80% more efficient than the Chinese farmers. Why? China stifled technological adoption in the agricultural sector, even in construction to some extent. There are 425 million farmers in China, 200 million households are farmers in China, 90 to 150 million farmers in India. Agric is the only sector that can absorb people that much. So we cannot be pushing technology at the same time be pushing expansion of an industry. So we would have to deliberately reduce adoption of technology, even in manufacturing. Instead of using robotics, we'll use people so that we can get the people out of the street. So that's what China did, and we can just easily replicate that to absorb people. Thank you.
I mean, jobs, Ena. Jobs. Northeast has no jobs. There's mining there. Just institutionalize it. Get a company there that is well known. Go in there, do certification, train people, educate them, and they have these jobs. That's what I think we need to do. It's a big problem. All those refugees internally is crazy. So, I mean, good call out there. Lydia, what's up? I got Lydia Uzo, Lynn Uzo. What's up? Talk to us, please. Lane going once. Lane going twice. Bro Nero, the guy with the Peter Obi DP. I hope you're gonna keep it straight without the politics. Let's go.
Yeah, good evening, guys.
How you doing?
I'm definitely gonna try to stay out of the political issue, but let's stick to the economy and policies. From my own basic understanding of economics, I'm an engineer, so I'm not an economist. Economics is basically just the result of human behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you see as your economy today, your economic status, your economic situation, it's just the behavior of the people in the country. So we are getting it wrong as a people, and it's not just the people alone, the leaders are not helping. So when we talk about economic policies, it's the government that sets the policies, and the government is usually represented by, in the federal level, you talk about the president, and in the state level, you talk about the governors. So when we're looking at our presidential candidates, we need to be very careful. We need to look at their character, their antecedents. Why am I saying that? Is because at the grassroots level, let's say at the basic community level that I've been exposed to, I've seen firsthand how a group of elites in the community collected over 100 billion naira belonging to the community and shared it amongst themselves. That's bad character. That money could have easily gone to the community schools, the hospitals, or for some sort of projects that would have benefited the community in general. People behaving badly. That's our problem. And we were talking, well, I heard some of the other speakers talk about the system of government, the federal structure is not working. That doesn't really mean anything. I'll give you examples. Let's look at China, Germany, the United States, and if you want to add, let's add Russia to it. These are countries with economies that are way, way outperforming our economy. And we look at their governance system. They are all different. They don't use the same government or the same government structures. They are using different governments, but their economies are doing well. Why? Because the government is people-oriented. The government we have had in Nigeria for a very long time has not been people-oriented. It's always been about the elites. It's been a patronage system. You get into power and you gather your guys around and share the national cake. We need a government going forward that is going to be people-oriented, going to invest in small businesses and invest truly in infrastructure. Not the case where you build a road, you give your guy the contract, it gives you kickbacks, and then you put some sort of mechanism for you to continuously benefit from that infrastructure that is supposed to be public property. No, we've had people behaving badly generally in the country and then in government. And that has been our problem.
So for you, the people are the issue. So if you change the personnel, the problem will go away. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, if you get the right leadership. You've seen chiefs, you've seen the way they move. It's always follow the steps of others. And when there is a shepherd, it's better. The movement is coordinated.
Okay,
we need the right leadership.
I hear a question. Is it your first election you're voting in? I'm assuming you're going to vote.
This is the first election that I'm going to vote in, actually, yeah.
So how old are you?
30.
30, interesting. All right, just doing a poll of first-time voters, yeah.
Kalu, I want to agree with him, and that's what I said about Einstein said you cannot solve a problem with the same thinking that created it. PDP promised us change, transformation agenda. Buhari promised change. It's the same cadre of people. The government of APC today, the ministers, over 30 or 40% of them are PDP. So we need something different. And like you said, a change of government that is scientific and everybody sees it as free and fair would have an immediate positive multiplier effect on the economy. We've not even started elections. Bloomberg is already writing articles on people. Can't you know investors have seen these documentations? So if you can vote in that, you've already demarketed the country and reduced our FDI. So I think the only thing that's a departure, I won't mention name now, but you know, and we all know, there's only one person that is a departure of the status quo as we speak, not in the context of sophistication, but in the context of simplicity. And I always shy away from 5-point agenda, 5-point agenda, 6-point agenda. We just need 1-point agenda, which I would agree with this last speaker. Leadership. Nigeria does not have problem with money. Monies have come. We've earned how many trillions on crude oil? What have we done with it? We need someone that will come, streamline government, save money, and invest in the right places, and offer the right leadership. If there's no leadership, forget it. Once the head is rotten, every other thing goes to waste. And that's why Nigeria is going to waste today. Thank you.
Interesting.
Okay. Kalu, I would like to come back in again.
Very quick.
Okay, so the speaker just now mentioned all the different agendas we have. You guys remember we used to have a vision 2020 that was never achieved, and we also had this policy document that was drawn up, and it's called the Gas Master Plan. I read about it in school while I was still studying engineering. Now, if you go to the presidential archive, you're going to see all sorts of documents. One of the speakers mentioned the Orosanye report, and there are all sorts of that. You may not even need to drop any new policy. You also mentioned the issue with bandits and illegal mining. I'm sure a lot of us are aware we had similar issues in the Niger Delta, and we still have it today. Illegal bunkering is even more prevalent. Way back, it used to be in the creeks. Now it's happening inland in communities nearby. I work in the oil industry. I have seen firsthand what is happening. There are illegal refineries in almost every community that is close to an oil installation. The leadership is bad. The people are bad.
I hear you.
Politicians to the security services. Everything is rotten. We need a change.
I hear you. All right, cool. Let's take Tunde. Tunde, what's up?
Yeah, thank you very much for this space. I appreciate everybody speaking. Some have spoken my mind. You see, leadership, yes, but leadership and structure go hand in hand. If you have a good leader with a bad structure, there will be problems in the long run. And if you have a good structure with a bad leader, there will be problems in the long run. Another thing we should do as a country is to have a long-term project. We are people we are more like living for tomorrow. That's one thing I realized. Nigeria will survive as a country or as a place on the earth in the next 50 years, except this world ends. Are we thinking about that? What of when we live? What of when our children live? You see, if you have that long-term view, we work. We want to build a house in today. Somebody can lay a foundation, and that's his own work. Somebody will come and build upon it. Someone will do the roofing. But the problem is, one will start the foundation, build the house, do the roofing, do a housewarming ceremony. Then where would that be? It would take us nowhere. The US took 10 years or so. Look at when they went to space. JF Kennedy started. He died. The other person took it up. One thing that helped Lagos State is continuity. So I think our leaders, we should have as a nation, where do we want Nigeria to be in the next 10 years? Where do we want Nigeria to be in the next 20 years? Let us all agree. The Vision 2020, most of it that somebody will sit down and people say, what are you saying? But if you say that, look, your every child will be educated. That goes around for everybody. To me, education must be free and compulsory, primary and secondary school. That one must be free and compulsory for every citizen of this country. We should enshrine it in our constitution. Whether it is APC or PDP or Labour or APGA, whoever is the party, whether in the north or in the south or in the east or in the west, education must be free and compulsory.
I hear you.
Enlighten the people. So you see, those are basic things. That's what Awolowo did in the West. He came in 1951. He started free education, and from free education, he went up. Well, later on, they went to teacher training. They went to secondary grammar school. The next government came, and before you know it, they had a long start. And everybody now decided that I will send my child to school. And we made education attractive to the people of the north. We should understand cultural differences. Again, we like to lump everybody together. Lagos girl from Kano, I've been vast to this nation. Our thinking levels is different. We want education in the north. Most people present education in the north as if you are Christianizing these people. But show the northern an example of Abu Dhabi. Show the northern example of Turkey. Show the northern example of Saudi Arabia. These are Islamic countries, but they are well developed. But when you show them examples of only America, Europe, they look at it as if, oh, this is what you want to, you are idol worshippers and things like that. So first and foremost, we need to get our leadership and structure right. The two of them will be worked upon. Because if they are not worked upon, one will collapse the other. Is either the leader will collapse the structure or the structure will weigh down the leader. So we must.
I hear you. Good points.
Yes. Yeah. Another thing again is that we should look for that which will affect the generality of the people. Policies. When I was in Ghana for some time, one of the reasons why they sent John Mahama away, like, you are just building infrastructure. What of their stomach? That you want dead people to go on the roads? Because I was there during the electionary campaign and something. We should try to do projects that will impact the people. What would the man in Chukwu, Bomosho, or Ida talk about? That this is it. He must feel the government. And how do the people feel the government? Let them have an input into what they do.
All right.
So, finally, sorry, because I don't want to repeat what I'm doing. Another thing we should Look
No,
about.
Tunde, we have to round us. I got tons to speak.
Okay.
If you don't mind, yeah, I do
Okay.
appreciate you.
Okay, thank you. No problem.
You're very, very welcome, Tunde. Thank you so much. I got Basho. Basho, what's up? Hey, Ena, if you hear something you want to just hop in, please go ahead. You're all cool, yeah? So, Basho, what's happening? Mr. Money.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Basho.
Yes, when it comes to economics and politics, there is a place they meet, and there is also a place. There is also a place they depart.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
The place, when it comes to the politics of it, I don't want us to underestimate the power of politicians in terms of what they can do as good or what they can do also as evil. And when it comes to doing things, it can go as either an action or an omission. That's what they do or what they refuse to do. It can have a long-lasting impact on the economy. This is because what a politician will sign with his signature, one policy a politician will make can determine what will happen to millions of businesses. It can determine whether the next refinery will get built or the current ones are going to close up shop and go elsewhere. It's going to determine whether investors will come to Nigeria or the ones we have are going to pack their things and leave. So sometimes when it comes to the politics of it all, if you don't get our politics right, you're going to end up having people who would make economic decisions or make decisions that will affect the economy in a very rash manner, whereby it's going to affect everybody negatively. I'll give an example. During this current administration, something happened and you want to access dollars, you cannot access it as a legitimate businessman. Meanwhile, the politician who is sleeping in his house can have access to as much dollars as he wants.
Yeah, but I want you to give me a policy. Basho, I hear you, but I want you to tie this into policy. What should we do?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear? You have a background noise on
Yes.
your. Can you? Oh, sorry, but I think we lost Basho. Ekwe, Basho, I think I lost you. If you can call back and I'll add you back in. Ekwe, what's up? You had a follow up. Ekwe Arinze. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Carlo.
Hey, hi. What's going on? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want to see investments in infrastructure. These are the policies I'm looking for. In any possible any new government that is going to come in, investments in education. I look forward to having the subsidy removed. However, I do believe that everything is a derivative of energy. If we remove this subsidy, take away this 4 trillion naira that has been invested in subsidy, I think the economy is going to be shocked because the price of commodities are going to go up.
Yeah, it's the same thing now. It's the same thing. We see, cheap fuel is a tax on Nigerians right now. It's just how are we paying that tax? If you take away that fuel and you invest it properly, or you have the cheap fuel, you are still paying the tax.
Yes. So in the short term, how do we cushion this effect?
I think they're going to do the normal things they've done. They're going to do normal buses and all that, unless someone has a better idea. But how else do you do it? Unless you give a voucher. I was of the view that if you pay the subsidy at the Nigerian pump, you reduce the waste, the fraud, and you actually get some savings. What I mean is this. Right now, the subsidy is paid at the ports, so you can't track it. But if you tell folks that you register your car to your BVN, to your NIN, then you get paid 5,000 naira to your phone based on you register your phone, so they can link your phone to a particular car, right? You go to the filling station, you buy the fuel with e-naira from your phone to the station right there. So that way they know this car has an allocation of $5,000, it goes. If you don't want the subsidy, don't get it. Don't get it. Don't
Kalu,
link
why
in
you
your car.
people thinking our refineries can never work?
No, I'm talking about just the fuel. Even the imported fuel, they can't work now. And have you seen those things? They can't work.
No. Don't say that. I'm an engineer. I'm a reliability engineer. I've
And
worked on.
they cannot
Calm
work.
down now. Kalu, calm down. Nigeria sold NAFCON. Nigeria sold LMF chemicals. A plant has a lifespan, let's say averagely 60 years, or let's say 70. And with good investments, you can even elongate it. Why are we assuming the refineries cannot work? Refineries are old technology. That's the first thing you look at based on heavy industry investment. These are old technologies. And two, there are other strategies to bring in refineries easier. There's what we call global plant relocation. There are plants due to environmental regulations in the West which have been closed down. I visited one in Canada. Shell put it out for sale. It was a 1,060 barrel per day refinery. Nobody bought. What did they do? They turned it to a storage location and dismantled the parts. So we should not just look at it, 1, 2 options and assume and forget that we have refineries. Those are investments.
Yeah, but
and those refineries can work.
It's a machine, right? It's a machine. When you have the life cycle of a machine, the manufacturer will write if used as intended. It's there if used as intended. We haven't maintained those things for years.
No, they've not worked for years.
That's the point.
For the past 20 years, those refineries have not worked.
So the
now
cost,
they are telling you they are not in a good state. But I
so
guarantee you those
the
refineries
cost
would work. Of
course.
And it will
So
save us.
the cost of it's like speaking of Ajaokuta, what you're saying, like Ajaokuta is a machine too. Let's go
No, I'm
fix
not
it.
talking of Ajaokuta. Ajaokuta is a
What's the
different discussion.
difference?
I'm talking of refinery. I'm talking of old technology. Steel technology is not as widespread as that of oil and gas. Private people have refineries. Shell, all the IOCs have refineries. So let's put refinery. And the politics of Ajaokuta is too deep for us to go that way. But I'm talking of subsidy. The question I have is, why are we assuming the refineries cannot? We have refineries put at about installed capacity of 400,000 barrels. So why are we assuming the refineries cannot work? A government can come in. The original equipment manufacturers of those refineries are alive. And we can just do a stopgap.
All I will do is just to talk about antecedents, right? I'm pretty sure that if you do an audit of those things are scrap. It's easier to buy a brand new one like you want to talk about in Canada than to try to fix those old things. If you haven't serviced these things for ages, it's not serviced, they are old technology. Why not just get a new one? Smaller new one. Get 5 smaller new ones across the Niger Delta and refine it cheaper there. Why must we fix this one?
Yes, that's a good modular, scatter modulars. I agree, 100%.
I mean, they've tried to sell this stuff for a while. People have come. And the guys I know that wanted to buy were only buying because they wanted to get the crude allocation that goes to the refineries. They weren't buying to fix the refineries. But that's another topic from that day. I mean, that's his point. So, yeah. Eagle, Niger boy, what's up?
Hey, good evening, Mr. Kalu.
How you doing?
Everyone. Amazing, thank you. So what I want to talk about is mostly, you see, the thing is, if you look at Nigeria on paper, in theory, Nigeria is a perfect functioning state, right? In theory. But if you come down to the level of functionality, actually, you discover that a lot of these things that are in theory are not being implemented as they should be. So one of the things I was looking at, and if people don't know me yet, I am one of those people that supported the APC. I still support the APC, by the way. So one of those things I was looking at is that we have an agency called the Infraco, which I think is an amazing idea.
We have it?
Infraco.
We have it?
Like I said, in theory,
we don't have it
established.
Yet. It's just paper. We don't have it. Where's that? We don't have it. Yeah, so just making okay.
In theory, yeah. So I was thinking, if we have that, and we have the PIB, this something the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, something of that nature, and there is this PPP that was introduced, which is the private-public partnership scheme, to all this to try to see the way to boost up infrastructures. And I'm saying, if we have all this on ground, how come the president is still awarding contracts for roads constructions?
Because all
I
those
mean,
things you're talking about don't exist now, my brother. You know now. I mean,
yeah. So
right
that's what I'm
now,
saying.
they don't. Right now, all the money we make is going to pay back debt and salaries. We're borrowing to fix roads, and we passed a very very good law. The president passed a very very good law that allowed corporations to build roads and get a tax credit. That's what they're doing right now. So I think MTN is building lots of roads in the southeast and is
Yeah.
charging that to their taxpayers. So that's a very very good way we can scale that. I think big time. But apart from that, we are borrowing to pay salaries and debt. There's no money even for roads. That's the honest truth.
Yeah, and I can remember we had a space, I think about a month or 2 months ago, where you were saying like the problem is not necessarily revenue generation, but in managing the revenue we already have.
That is
And
true.
if you look at today, South Africa is a much smaller country compared to Nigeria in terms of economics and all that. But South
Are you
Africa
kidding me? Are you
yeah,
kidding me?
South Africa is generating annually almost twice of the money we generated last year, right? South Africa generated over $100 billion, and we didn't even do.
I think South African economy is much deeper and wider than Nigerian economy. Nigerian economy is larger than South Africa because I think of services. Our GDP is services, agri,
Yeah.
and South Africa has gone down. But I mean, in terms
Yes.
of the breadth of the economy, you can't compare Nigeria and South Africa. They are miles ahead of us. Miles.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm a Nigerian.
And so I guess the question I want to ask is it that we really have policies problem or implementation problem?
Bad sex. Do you know the way to having bad sex?
Sorry about that, guys.
Wow. Okay. So as I was saying, the question I wanted to ask actually is it that we have policies problem or implementation problems, and how exactly can we actually strengthen our institutions? Because we've heard this over and over again that we have to strengthen the institutions, but how do we actually do that?
I mean, I mean, and I can speak more on that, but I just think that for me, we fix the economy first. It's easier to tell someone to take a bribe if he can feed his family. That's what I think. If a guy can feed his family, it's easier to not take a bribe. If you stop from taking a bribe, you've
I
solved
agree.
one.
The politicians
That's
that
where
are
I think it
stealing,
starts from, first of all.
the politicians that are stealing, some of them are already multi-billionaires. Why are they still stealing? It becomes a habit. It becomes a society value system. So I think it goes beyond lack of money. Singapore, when you go to a Singaporean hotel and you drop a tip, they'll return your money to you. Is the value system of the country. So if you train a child not to steal, even anything that does not belong to them, they won't take it. We
But
cannot
even
live.
but Singapore took some training, right? They were this colony, and it took them some time to get their people to that. I mean, in America, they collect bribes in America, and so
No, but not as a culture, not as
true.
a
That
everyday
is true.
thing. There will be 1-2 eggs that the government, the law. But I'm talking of value system of a country. That's why I'm saying we need a new leadership that will change the mindset of monetization to make money not attractive. Because if you are sent to office with money, all through your lifespan of your project, everything will be money based, bribing. Because when the leadership is bribing people to do things, spending money to do things, they're not persuasive, they're not creative, they're not innovative, they don't build structures. All they just do is they wait till last minute and they'll push money. That's how they won the presidential elections, primaries. Last minute, they throw money. Last minute, they throw money. So we cannot
So it's not
assume.
1 billion to buy a farm, and then it becomes a buyer take all. Then you have to take your money back.
Yes.
That's
But if
one
there's
thing.
no money involved and it's value based, my character, I'm prudent, I've delivered before, I'm a man of one family, then it's easy. I'm a man of accountability, transparency, team working. Then I can go ahead. So to his question, he came from the point of infrastructure. I think we have an infrastructural mix match, and I think we have long ago outsourced our thinking cap to the multilateral agencies. I was at the 2014 budget defense where Okonjo-Iweala was presenting the budget, and I asked a simple question just to get our thinking cap, because I think Nigeria as a country we feel intimidated by these multilateral landers. And I asked a question. She said the Jonathan government had created 4 million jobs. What was my question? Madam, you came to give us data. 4 million jobs have been created. I don't need data.
I don't even need information. I need actionable intelligence. Why? How many jobs were lost? It's only when you tell me, oh, we created 4 million jobs and 5 million people lost their jobs, is a net negative of 1 million. Then I can begin to listen to you. Now to infrastructure, we don't even have the right thinking cap for infrastructure. When we think infrastructure, all we're thinking of is money. Infrastructure is not money. Infrastructure is not funding. And our brother now asked, if we have all these agencies, why are they spending money? And it's right. The Swiss Canal Extension project, guess what? $8 billion was raised in 5 days by ordinary Egyptians. They thought out of the box. And the infrastructure challenge we face, Kalu, it will surprise you. It has nothing to do with money. Lagos-Ibadan highway, 79 miles, 13 years. India just built a highway, 47 miles, in 5 days.
But it's not impossible now. These things are not, it's not rocket science.
Yes, but I'm saying specifically on infrastructure, the thinking cap is wrong. I'll give an example. Fashola said they were complaining, oh, this government has borrowed too much. You know what Fashola said? He said, if they don't borrow, what would they do? That is the day I actually started crying. Because, why am I saying this?
Fashola said that?
Yes, it's on record. Guess what? The thinking cap is wrong. And once they think infrastructure, oh, I'm going to IMF. Oh, I'm going to World Bank. Oh, I'm going to... No!
Mr. Ena, can I come in?
Yeah, come in.
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to summarize what you've been trying to say. And it's what I said earlier. We have a people problem. People in leadership currently, or most of our leaders, they do not have the required moral standing. They do not have the kind of character that is required to occupy public office. To see public funds, $1 billion there for you to steal and say, no, I would rather build roads, I would rather build schools. You say, okay, your friend, the governor, gives you a contract as a friend of his to do roads. You, instead of doing the road, you take that money to buy a Rolls Royce or to buy a house in London, and you just relax. Your friend is the governor, he cannot do you anything, or probably you even gave him kickbacks. Let me give an instance. I was on instance one of these oil companies while I was still an undergrad. I had access to some of the private documents, and I could see firsthand how these guys were wasting revenue in the name of operating cost, engaging in all sorts of activities. And we're talking about a subsidiary of the NNPC. I do not want to be specific, but these guys were just blowing money in operations, doing all sorts of things, awarding contract twice, buying all sorts of assets that were not required, liabilities and all that. And these are people that we are entrusting to generate revenue for the country. Tomorrow, the NNPC comes to you and say they made just 1 billion when they could have made 10. So we have a people problem. And that's all I have to say. We have a people problem, character issues.
Can I just
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Go for it.
Thank you. Good evening. This is my first time being on this space, and I'm glad to be on it. Just the talks alone from here, is inspiring. But what I want to point out first, I want to agree with my brother Nero, who said that our problem is a people problem. But I like to put it in this way: our leadership is not economic oriented. In the first place, our leadership is not economic oriented. It is power oriented. We do not have people in politics that will speak on economics. To the best of my knowledge, we do not have people in politics that will speak on economics. We only have people in politics that are interested in having their name known. The kind of politics we practice in Nigeria, it is not matured enough to go into economics. And I think we can only come into that gradually with such gatherings as this, enlightened minds, opening things up. Let's give just an instance where we have 36 completely economic individuals in our Senate alone. the discussion that will be that will be handled there, it will be far different from the likes that we have now. So leadership is the foremost point, because nothing happens without a good leader. It is not the people that is at fault, it is the leadership. Once the leadership is accountable,
let me take you up on that. Let me take you up on that. The people vote the leaders. People collect monetary inducements to vote bad leaders in. No leader can stay in power if the people do not agree, even with the rigging. So, why are we always saying this is the leadership, is the orgas and all that? We are the ones now. I saw videos of folks collecting cash in that with states, young ladies collecting cash and showing it on social media they got cash. If everyone says, I won't collect a bribe, aren't we getting there?
No, I understand where you're coming from, Sakalu. But where I'm coming from is Nigeria. It's like, I want to use an analogy. Nigeria is like a lady that doesn't actually know what it means to be loved. She's in an abusive relationship and she thinks that that's the best she can get. Until a man comes around and shows her what love truly is, that's when her mind begins to become opened. That is the analogy I'm trying to paint now. Nigerians by nature, it is much easier to fool the herd than to fool a single person. Everybody knows that. So it's much easier to delve on the wrong side, because we do not have people who are independently thinking and saying, okay, look, I want to go into politics to change the narrative. I want to go into politics, to compete to bring out.
I hear you. Let me ask you, Sharp. Is there any speaker or any politician right now that you think is best poised to address this issue of leadership? Don't call the name. Just asking if there's someone you've identified that can sort of take us to this finish land.
Okay, I would say, to the best of my knowledge, I haven't. But this is where I want to throw the point to you now. Imagine 36 people like you in government. It is an inspiration. I'm trying to inspire. We are the talking face, Sakalu. And to be frank, I respect you a lot. In fact, I go through your tweets every day. It's like my economic Bible. Seriously.
Thank you.
No problem. Imagine 36 of you, of the likes of you in politics. You change the narrative. Speaking alone here, as much as it is inspiring, it gives us avenue to look up to people like you and the likes of those even far greater in economic standpoints to be able to think differently.
I hear you. I'm just wondering, like, right now, if there's someone that, you think, we can't have cake, so can we have bread? That's what I'm thinking about. Like, okay, is there anyone
you can be our bread?
Okay.
I'm not trying to make it as a.
No. I hear you. I get what you're saying. I'm just trying to run through. I completely get you.
It is people like you we need there, because once you make the move, trust me, that's when you begin to see people. This conversation we have here, it just dies, but that's the frank truth. Whereas why not put in action? They just tend to be forgotten. But I
hear you.
Once the likes of you start bringing up this issue, it might not be you, it could be even someone else, but I don't know who that person is, because I am yet to see that. Nigerians, we are in a thick forest. Yes, but imagine a pathfinder, a trailblazer, making out who will just begin to move towards that herd. So it's not as if it's gradual. There are people who are from what I've noticed.
Have you voted? Sharp.
Yes, people who think in terms of economics.
Have you voted in the past before? Sharp. Let me ask you. Sharp. Have you voted in the past before in Nigeria? Have you voted?
No, this will be my first time voting.
So this is your first time. Do you have? Don't tell me the candidate, but do you have a candidate right now?
I really don't. That's why I'm saying that this gathering is
okay.
Because I'm telling you now, I'm just from this conversation alone, my eyes are opened. it will enable me to go search and then see what kind of candidates are we bringing into politics. So gatherings like this, as much
Gotcha.
as here, they are much appreciable. That's why I began my conversation by thanking you and the whole team here for something. Is an eye opener. Is an eye opener. Just believe that it's an eye opener.
We appreciate that. That's Obi and
it's in mind because I've never thought towards this
I
part.
hear you.
I've always been thinking of my own self. What can I do to make things better for me? But I've been failing to see that everything can actually start from the leadership. Once the leadership is fine, we can actually come in and then we'll see that all the struggles we've been struggling here, they're actually, in fact, you could also attest to the fact that the average Nigerian, the struggle that an average Nigerian makes, if he goes abroad to make such kind of struggles, he comes out excellent. So it's not the people problem, it's the leadership problem. So once we have people,
Sharp, I hear you.
I don't know.
I agree with you. I want to move. Sharp, I want to get us to hop in and say a word. So I hear you. Everyone's hands up. Right. I see all your hands. We're all going to speak. Don't worry about it. We're all going to speak. Let me just have Okutie, Okim BF come in and just say a word. Thanks for waiting, Okim. Okim, go for it. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Kalu. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. Some of us can't go to channels to actually speak or be on any news channel, but you've given us a platform for our voice to be heard, and we appreciate you on that. A whole lot of people have said a whole lot of things, very valid points made, very key points from their hearts made. But I just want to focus on certain parts that have not really been addressed quite seriously. One of them is security. We all talk about policies, how to grow Nigerians' economy and all that. But when you are not secure, those things actually trample whatever policies that you have created. And that's exactly what we've seen in Nigeria. The insecurity is alarming. And it is gradually...
Okay, just make a general point. Okay, we just talk about security that's a given. So we just everyone is going to do. So we don't. That's why we don't talk about it. It's a given that everyone has got to talk about that. So just so you know.
Exactly. So secondly, right, cut the funding of government. That is a serious issue that should be addressed. And when I say cut it, I don't mean cut it and put the money somewhere. Redirect it into something more productive. The funding of governance in Nigeria is one big driver of corruption, of the backwardness that we see in this country. Everybody that comes, or let me not say everybody, but most of them that come into leadership, that come into any political position or the other, has spent a whole lot, much more than what he is even supposed to earn as a leader in that place. And definitely when he gets there, he has to pay back. There's ROI. He has to pay back. And how does he pay back? He won't think of any policy or anything that will grow the common man. No, he will first think of how he will pay back. And that is it. Cutting the funding of government, not just by saving it, but by redirecting it into productive measures. And then diversifying the economy. Europe keeps talking about stopping the use of fossil fuel of gas. Hello?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Europe, in fact, the entire world. One thing, I was watching an advert, I think by Total or so, and it just struck me that Total that actually explores oil and produces this thing is going green. It sends a message across to me that this is a company that I would naturally attribute to oil production. He's thinking of going green. Why? He's already seen the future. And we are not diversifying. Nigeria is loaded with, in fact, you were talking about mining. A whole lot of people have talked about mining. Mining is going on in this country. It's not just being recorded. A whole lot of mining is going on. Oil is child's play when it comes to the other solid minerals that we have in this country. It's massive. And I am amazed that a lot of companies still go ahead to import some of these things to use in their manufacturing process when we have them just next door.
Okay, good point, Okemo. Okemo, good point.
Just one last point is actually the Silicon Valley in Nigeria. It's been neglected. It's been neglected. The GDP of Silicon Valley alone, I'm talking about the real Silicon Valley now, in 2020 was 500 billion, well over $500 billion. This lady, the managing director of Mainone, I've forgotten her name now, Funke, right? She has been a strong force. Most of these tech giants that you see coming out of Nigeria was as a result of the move that single lady did. And what she did to the Silicon Valley of Nigeria, the government has not really paid attention to the Silicon Valley, and they can get so much out of it. So much. So these are just the few ones. Cut the funding of government. Someone talked about eliminating the Senate. I agree.
I gotta allow others to hop in if you don't mind.
Kind of extreme. I kind of agree with that. Cut that funding of government. That is the starting point for me. Thank you very much, Kalu.
You are very, very welcome. Honorable, I got Nanayo Adotien, the Barcelona man. What's happening, Mr. Barcelona? How are you doing today?
Okay, I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I've been following this space for quite a while, and I'm very, very much impressed with the points I've been made. But I'm not a Nigerian, I'm a Ghanaian.
Yep.
And I just want to make some 1 or 2 points concerning the inflation you guys raised about, and it looks like most of you were in favor of the interest rate approach, raising the interest rates, cutting demand and stuff. But Ghana also had a similar problem with inflation. And I think inflation is at an all-time high in Ghana now, around 23.6%, almost 27%. And the central bank, as in the Bank of Ghana, has also followed a similar pattern of raising interest rates to try to control inflation, and it has not worked. And we had still followed the same pattern, hoping for a different result.
Gotcha.
In my opinion, what that has done, what that rise in interest rate has been only successful to do is to only raise the most profitable banks in Ghana. Now, there was a recent study by one of the think tanks in Ghana, that is Imani Ghana, and one of their study found out that about 46% of bank securities have been invested in government, of bank assets have been invested in bank securities. Now, what that meant simply to me is that these high interest rates were just enough to attract or to redirect banks' money, which were supposed to fund private sector, into government securities. And since then, inflation has continued rising. And it surprises me as a Ghanaian that we have intelligent people in government and they have not seen what I am seeing. Probably I might be wrong. But what I want to say is that I was expecting that like fellow African countries will also learn from this thing. But it also looks like Nigeria is also on a similar path to doing the mistake we were doing.
And the Ghanaian inflation is very, very high, right? It's about 28%. Is that correct for Ghana? Or something like that?
It's about 23.6%.
23% inflation in Ghana. What are you guys?
Yes.
How are you guys surviving? Jesus, what are you guys doing over there?
The funny thing about this inflation in Ghana is that if you look at the breakdown by the Ghana Statistical Service, about 50% of that 23.6% is from food inflation.
Yeah.
So you ask yourself.
You guys just found oil, Abi. You guys just found oil a few years ago, right?
Yes. Oh, we found oil. We found oil we started producing oil in commercial quantities about 6-7 years ago. It's been quite a while.
When did the money hit, though?
When did they?
You guys pre-sold the revenues, right? You pre-sold the revenues and got the revenues upfront or something like that for your oil. Is that correct?
Yes.
Interesting. You didn't learn from Nigeria at all.
And that is what I'm saying, that it looks like we have been successful in replicating the mistakes our fellow African countries have been doing. And that is what Nigeria is also on the path of doing with the inflation, with raising interest rates, which will just end up crowding out private sector investments.
True. But what's the option do they have? What options do they have? How else do you fight inflation without raising rates? Remember, Turkey tried it. There was a guy from Turkey here. They tried it, and they look at what's happening in Turkey. If you don't raise rates, you know what happens.
Yes, I know, but if you look at the breakdown, with my opinion, if you look at the breakdown of the Ghanaian inflation, 50% of that inflation is from food inflation. And if you check the further breakdowns, you see that maize and rice are one of the main drivers of inflation, which we would be able to produce here locally. So then I ask that if maize, you have maize, rice, and then fat and oil to be the main causes of inflation, then the most logical thing to do, in my opinion, will be to boost or try to invest heavily in that sector.
So more boosting supply to get the prices down, right?
Rather than cutting demand. I hear
you, and you should do that. I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, Ghana, you guys don't be like us. You know, we're trying to come back to Ghana. You know, Ghana used to be a model of Nigeria for good management a few years ago. So we look up to you guys in quote. So don't be like us and go back that pathway. Yeah, I hear you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I've got, is it Lisa&Jesse'soutlawsaloon, Lisa and Jesse from Ohio. Hi. Are you still there, Lisa?
Okay. Mr. Kalu, while we're waiting for Lisa, I want to speak real quick to Mr. Sharps. Now, he said something about
you had spoken before, bro. So you have to go straight to the point.
Yeah? No, okay. He said something about focusing on the leadership. What he is not really considering here is that the people make the leaders. As bad as the examples we have now, they have supporters down to your neighborhood. So if we decide to support credible individuals, then we have a credible government and a more effective government. That's what I just wanted to say.
Great. I agree. All right, so let me get, oh, geez, where did he go? Mr. Abdulazeez, I've just found you. Saraki234. Good day, sir. How are you doing?
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening. I'm doing good, and I hope everyone is doing well. And I've been following your space for a while, and thank you so much for all that information. There is something that actually I mentioned a while ago, not necessarily here, but I just wanted to bring it out here, and I just hope you project it out more. I remember when Netflix was going international, going to China, and then they were having issue settling into China because they were trying to protect their market. And at that time, I remember Iroko TV was popping, and at the same time, Netflix was coming in. So I tweeted like a couple of times to which ministry was that? That was something related to that, telling them, hey, actually, we too, can't we see, how China is trying to protect its own market? So that can we try to see if we can have, like a partnership between Netflix and Iroko TV, in Nigeria, not just coming to take over everything and then kill out our own market. Just like how now Chinese market have protected their own while still having Netflix. I was just wondering, like, is there anything that we are really doing, or is it just like every technology that Nigeria is going to be using in the future is going to be 100% controlled by other countries? It's just that we are going to be like that. Is there anything that we are doing to make sure our own also prosper?
I mean, look at Flutterwave. Look at they are local, quote unquote. Look at all those fintech boys. They're all local. Look at Nollywood. The Nollywood you mentioned. Look at Nollywood. It's all local, right? So I think that it's possible. We just need help. I looked at the Central Bank of Nigeria giving the contract to create the currency, the e-naira. Give it to some guys from Barbados. That was crazy, Why didn't they give it to some guys from Nigeria? So that's another question I want to ask. That's where we get it wrong. But we already have fintech. It's a huge sector right here in Nigeria in fintech. We should develop fintech, get them all out. There's the agri guys, the pure credit guys, doing a lot of good jobs here, right? So the talent is here. We're the largest user of cryptocurrencies in Africa. That's in Nigeria right
I
here.
think the question is the back end, though, and I think I want to
Yeah,
agree with the
but
back end of these technologies is still foreign, and a
Anna,
huge percentage
oh,
the
is he
funds is
talking
going.
about this like the servers or the human
Yes, he's talking
capital?
about the back end, the technology,
Exactly,
the
all
infrastructure,
of it, everything.
the
Yeah,
Aziz,
back
are you
end.
talking
and
about
also even the front end too.
I
Even
mean,
like the products.
Anna, do you know we have like the second highest number of developers in Africa from Nigeria? I know the great thing, they are home trained. They were home trained. They go to school, got all those certifications.
No, it's
Number
like
one is
saying
South
you have
Africa.
you have a lot of professional footballers. Then
Ah.
nobody's watching Manchester. Nobody's watching Ayimba. He's talking of indigenization. He's talking of having a
Yeah,
nationalistic
and I'm saying
technology
that we
outlook.
have a lot of that, right? We have a lot of human capital here. Amazon is coming here not because we want fulfillment
But they are
services.
open for pushing. And if Amazon comes,
Exactly. That's what I'm
if
saying. Amazon
Amazon
is coming
comes,
here to take all our engineers to go work on Amazon projects in Nigeria, not pay them foreign salaries. That's why they're coming here. That's a new trick now. You open up a branch in Nigeria, you hire Nigerian IT folks, then you pay them Nigerian wages. You don't have to take them abroad and pay them foreign wages. That's why they're coming here. There's a big pool of IT talent in Nigeria. Nigerians speak English. So it's a big plus for them, apart from the guys from Eastern Europe. So that's why they're coming here. We have to, just like Nollywood, we have to go, like I agree with Aziz, get that structure, the back end in place so that we can actually start to use those guys to build out
and
at the
Kalu,
back
that
end.
back end is funding. If you
It's
see, one
money
of the
now.
things that Adewumi Adesina did was increase the lending to agricultural sector as a function of other sectors. So I think what Abdulazeez is saying, if I'm to support it, we also need to invest, because you're mentioning Nollywood. Because if you don't invest, and then Netflix comes with money, they come and invest in your country and they own the space. So we also need to invest
And
significantly
that's
in
what's
those
happening.
industries.
Let me just say,
Yes.
see this football league. This football league nobody's watching. Amazon is going to come to Nigeria. It's going to pay $100 million and buy 25 years of the Nigerian Football League. Then it's going to be like EPL. The Nigerians will be like, no, why didn't we see that 10 years ago? What I've just said is going to happen. They're going to buy it because once you have ICC paying Rangers again, everyone's going to watch. Everyone wants to watch local. 25 years ago, no one listened to Nigerian music. Nobody. You go to a club, it's all American music. Right now, you go to a Nigerian club, you cannot even hear American music. It's just not possible. Same thing with Nigerian sports, Nigerian movies, exactly the same thing. Someone's going to come in, fix it, then everyone's going to be like, oh, I want in, oh, I want in, oh, I want in. But then it's
And
going
you
to
know
be.
the music you're talking of, the money is foreign, is iTunes that makes the Apple,
I was
those
shocked when
platforms,
I saw that, right?
YouTube, Spotify. They are the ones
Whiskey
making
$15 million from
Sony,
iTunes.
Sony
Jesus.
Music. Is those so Abdulazeez is right, because this music you just mentioned now, look at the platforms: Sony Music, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. The money, you just have three eggheads: Davido, Burna Boy, Wizkid, but the industry is still foreign. So I agree 100% with Abdulazeez.
So
Except we
the question
invest.
is now, how do you fix it? You have to get a guy that understands Spotify as
Okay.
president, right? So he can ask someone that is smarter than him to fix it.
No, what we can do is just first, there are Nigerians working in all these companies. Just as what did China do? China just did copy. They pushed people to work in the US in sensitive areas, and when it's time, they push them back. There's this nationalistic drive to pull them back. So you have to make Nigeria attractive, so that those that would develop these platforms would have to come back to Nigeria. Then the government has to just copy. It's copy and paste. Where you see this person doing this thing, you see, let's say we see a Netflix. The government now will now support someone to just replicate that same exact platform, but just with a different name. Like China.
China has a policy on. There's a name for. Is it for? They have an exact name for this. Bring
No.
back home. There's an exact policy for that. China, they train you, and if you're a lecturer, they give you money, and you can come to China with your knowledge and all that kind of stuff. They have an
If you
exact
see
policy
those
for it.
Chinese made cars, you would think it's a Kia or a Mercedes Benz. They just go and do pure copy and paste. So I think we also need to do that, because the Oyibo man too, they came and collected they do copy. Everybody does copy and paste. So we just need to replicate every industry, then pass laws that protect the growth of those industries in indigenization, such as, for example, if we say no foreigner can come and own, let's say, more than 50%, like they do in Dubai. So the ownership structure is balanced so that Nigerians have a good stake in the board in making decisions. That can help.
Okay, I hear you. KN, is that KN? Oh, Kayan, are you speaking or you're listener? Kayan, go ahead if you want to speak. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Good day. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm a first-time speaker here, and I really want to thank you for this opportunity to speak on a channel like this. I've never been on any space like this before.
Okay.
But I really want to speak on an issue that I feel has been neglected, which is like I feel is going to follow as the fabric of this whole issue, which is I want to talk on education. You see, everything we have been saying makes sense in this channel. I see a lot of intelligent people. The young man from Ghana, that was phenomenal. I didn't expect that, you know. But last week, I'm a copper in Nigeria, so I'm opportune to travel, meet people, talk to a lot of young people, and something struck me while I was talking to a lot of young people in my service here, is that a lot of young people don't understand these issues we are talking about. You are saying these things, but talk to someone in the streets, in the actual streets of Ojuelegba or somewhere. It will be like you're speaking a different language. They don't understand you, even if they are educated as you are, but they don't. There's no two ways about it. So if we want to speak on issues, we have to invest heavily on education. Like 70% of any investment goes to education, because we have to understand these issues first before we do anything. Before you bring an economic policy from Dubai, from China, from wherever, from the moon, the people who you are giving these economic policies have to understand them. Do you understand? So this in issue I see, which affects our politics in general, because Nigeria as a country, voters, like it or not, vote based on religious sentiments and tribal biases. And the only thing that can overcome these two strongholds is a quality education. I met people who blew my mind, by the way, when they told me the candidate, I'm not going to say the names because it's going to be highly polarizing, when they told me the candidate they were going to vote for, and the only reason they had to vote for this candidate was basically because of tribal sentiments or religious sentiments. And there's a large pool of people who are going to vote on these lines. We might think, oh, we are intellectuals, like it or not. We are trying to neglect, we are trying to brush it off like it's not happening, but it's happening. These people are in our family, they are in our homes. There are people who we see in high positions, people who manage like big firms, people who
But let
manage.
me ask you, Nessie, are you voting this cycle?
I'm not voting. I'm saying the core.
No, but why aren't you voting?
The core essence of any economic political investment should focus directly on education.
I hear you.
Because
I'm just asking why aren't you voting? Why? What's the reason?
I'm voting. I voted in the last 3 election cycles.
And you're going to vote this election also.
Of course, I cannot not vote, because what I'm seeing in our country is alarming. We are heading towards the brink of war.
Whoa.
And people might not say it. Look, I did my this thing in Enugu, my what's it called? My camp in Enugu, right? We were not allowed to wear our uniforms on Mondays. Do you understand? They had to push our sending off service to Wednesday because on Monday was not safe. Do you understand? Because if you wear anything that represents Nigerians, I have colleagues who are serving there in Enugu, right? Because I relocated to Abuja. So they tell me their story. They are not allowed to wear the khaki, what represents the very essence of Nigeria. And people intelligent people are okay with it. Do you understand?
I hear you. I hear where you're coming from. I hear you.
Yeah.
So what? So let me just a question, right? So we're trying to do that. We're trying to link policies to the economies and obviously to the candidates, right?
Yes.
Looking at the three candidates that you've seen, what policy do you think would more or less close out this this distrust, bad economy? What do you think anyone can do that can change things around in the short term? I mean, just a few months to February 2023. What do
I
you think can
think
happen?
actually, I think especially though I want to commend everyone, like the Twitter community, like they bring back that pride for say like in Nigeria of having good leadership. I think there's this man from should I mention his name? I'm trying to be politically correct, but I think Peter Obi basically his policies and from his track records they are more realistic. You cannot tell me you want to increase the tax net without investing in our economy. That is crazy. Like, and for someone who doesn't understand the basics laws of demand and supply, coming to rule a country as complex as Nigeria is only going to end up in failure. So that is my own point of view. And come election day, that is the candidate I'm going to vote for. And I hope, because there's a lot of like hope on him, I hope he's going to perform. And it's our own responsibility to hold him accountable for what he promised. In the first year of office, we should be on his neck. We should be there. We should not slack. There's a lot more to be done after election than post-election.
I hear you. I hear you. Good call. Good call. I appreciate you saying that. Good call. Thank you for calling in. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, Tyrone, thanks for waiting. Tyrone, did you want to say something?
Hello. Hey, how's it going, guys?
We're fine,
Hey.
Tyrone. What's up?
Hey, man. Yeah, I'm currently in France right now, Paris. Well, I grew up in the States, New York and Chicago, respectively. However, I was born in Ivory Coast, and my father's side, they're from Chad. So, like, I had it was really interesting listening to your dialogue in terms of like the economic policies that need to be enacted in order for us to actually go into development. Just first and foremost, thank you again for having me on the space. Very interesting dialogue. Condolences again to the people of Nigeria for what happened a couple of weeks ago in terms of the massacre. From the Ivory Coast, we really do look to you guys as kind of an example because you guys are the largest economy. Honestly, as an African, I am very proud of what Nigerians have been able to, bring in terms of the African continent, in terms of, the fact that Nigerians are from Africa makes us very proud as Africans collectively, sub-Saharan Black Africans. Now, when it comes to the question of, economic policies that need to be enacted, I think what was interesting that the brother Nelzy said was that in terms of education, but yeah, I feel that we really do need to, of course, education, but also investing in culture. Because if you look at, because we like to, for example, talk about the Chinese and the Arabs. However, they had, and they promoted their culture for thousands of years, which is what made it to where, they could make it, they could actually be in a situation to where right now they're actually, like succeeding and developing or what have you. Yeah. I think that in order for us, and I've read, like, for example, I've read, I don't know if you guys know Joseph Chung Poemi, rest in peace. He was he was an economist for the International Monetary Fund, and he broke down the economic situation of Africa, and he said we really need to be independent monetarily. Now, I don't know how it goes in the other Anglophone countries, but I know, for example, in the Ivory Coast, our currency, which is the CFA franc, is pegged to the euro. And what's funny was that there was a report that came out recently talking about how us being pegged to the euro is actually good for our economy. And you look at, for example, they said we've had growth of 8% to 9% in terms of GDP for the last 10 to 15 years. But when you're actually in the Ivory Coast, you see that 8% to 9% GDP is not a real GDP. It's concentrated at the very top. You know, so what I think before we even, like begin to talk about, sure, yeah, the leaders are, et cetera, but we have to also understand, like, leaders also have their own interests, and unfortunately, the interest of our leaders in Africa, more often than not, they trump the interest of the actual people. So now, how do we galvanize the population? How do we make it so, we actually push those who are in power, to actually enact policies that will benefit us? Because it is honestly like a great human tragedy, the fact that we come from the wealthiest continent in the history of the world, yet the state that we're in collectively, especially sub-Saharan Africa.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Terry, real quick. Yeah. So you guys are French in quotes. You use the CFA, and if there was a currency maybe by Nigeria, issued by Nigeria, pegged to maybe the naira or pegged to crude oil, do you think this, not you, maybe this is a sentiment in French West Africa that would be competition, or would they come over and leave the CFA? Is the desire for nationalism so strong that they would leave the CFA and use that currency by an African nation, even though it wasn't tied to France and the euro?
No, I don't think so. And the reason why I'll say this is because, unfortunately, the sentiment in French West Africa, as I've seen it, there's a lot of what you can call like xenophobia, tribalism, or what have you. So there is a lot of talk about us, leaving the euro, what have you. For example, we were supposed to create a common currency with, the UMOA, Nigeria, Ghana, everybody included, or what have you. But then France came in and said, "Oh no, we're just going to change the name and all this other stuff." We know the story. So people always, like, for example, like me, like I'm a hardcore Pan-African, but in terms of like what I have seen, when I've been in the continent, I quite frankly think that we as Africans have a lot of issues that we need to resolve first before we decide, on having an actual currency. And I'm talking about us as French West Africans. What we've seen in Nigeria, what we've seen in Ghana is completely different, and to us, you guys actually have like a lot more freedom, However, even with that freedom, we are still part of, like a certain economic zone. We can travel between borders and this, that, and the third. But quite frankly, I don't think that unless we resolve certain cultural issues, like with and we promote our culture, we actually love ourselves as Africans. Like, all this other stuff that comes afterwards, sure, all right, I'll give you a case in point. For example, I'm 31, but we've been talking about, for example, having a metro in Abidjan, huge city, something like 900 square miles, 5 million people. But they've been talking about this since I've been at least 5 years old, and it still hasn't come to fruition, and even with that being said, like, it's the way that it's being marketed as a metro, but as we know, metros are subterranean, and this is in effect a tram. Yeah. And this is how it's being marketed, and it's been over 20 years. So we have a lot of stuff that we have to, from a cultural standpoint. Again, I cannot stress that enough. Cultural education, actually loving our continent, instead of taking boats and dying in the waters of to try to get to Europe, to where we're treated like animals, and we we do things that we wouldn't do otherwise in our own countries. No, we have to actually like love where we come from and try to actually make it better and foster some type of intercultural cohesion in order for us to really advance. And honestly, I give us maybe 10 years. I would give us 20 years to be ambitious, but yeah, I'm sorry, that's all I had to say. I tend to go on, because I'm very passionate about
thanks for the insight, just to give us a different take on that. And that answer was quite revealing. It sort of, I agree with you. That's the answer I expected, because we've seen it happen practically. And that, I think, is the problem with Africa. It's cheaper to fly from Ivory Coast to France that fly from Ivory Coast to Nigeria. And I'm being literal. Ivory Coast, Nigeria.
No, I know.
So Benin. I mean, there's a train being built by France, the Blue Line. It goes from Niger to Togo, Benin. It skips Ghana, then it goes to Ivory Coast, right? So it skips all the English-speaking West African nations, even though by line of sight, as per the crow flies, it's faster to just go through Nigeria, through Chad, but it skips all the English-speaking countries. Only Nigeria, it only goes to Lagos ports, right? Economically, being built by the billionaire from France. So that's the reality of the situation, that West Africa is French and English and not Yoruba and Dahomey and
we're not African. That's the thing. We have to be proud to be African.
So good point there. Thank you so much for making that. I hear you. All right, good.
You're
great.
welcome.
All right, Alfred, what's up? Alfred Krieg, KRG, what's happening, man? Hey, Mr. Alfred, I got you on 1. I got you on 2. Then I'm going to move on to Eagle. Eagle Eye, what's up? Your hand is raised. What's up? I thought we had you. Eagle Eye, what's happening?
Oh shit. I think it was what we're discussing about. I think we've actually passed the topic already.
Gotcha.
But then if I just reiterate, I think even after that, Mr. what's his name, Brunero and some other guy spoke, the gentleman, and they were talking about how the corrupt politicians and all that, and why things aren't working. But I think it all still boils down to the fact that politicians are like humans. They are going to be naturally greedy, right? What we need to have are functioning institutions that can hold them accountable. For example, the EFCC is an amazing institution on paper, but how do we really get the EFCC to function as they should be functioning? Because if the EFCC is really doing their job, it's going to be very difficult for someone to take, take a contract for a breach and then just abscond. It's going to be very difficult for them because the EFCC is going to be on them, right? So I think these are the problems. Some of the things we already have on ground are already very difficult to implement because of the institutions. And number 2, especially when we talk about the next president, we should not also forget the part of our insecurity problem, right? And we tend to talk about insecurity only in terms of economics. I know economics is going to, if we have a better economy, it's going to take off a couple of some of the pressure, but the problem we have in Nigeria when it comes to insecurity goes far deep. Like I've talked to people who will tell you firsthand that at least 70% of the people who come into Nigeria and cause this havoc are not even Nigerians, right? There is an entire geopolitical play, and like what we were just saying, the France trying to keep his hands tied in Africa, and especially in West Africa, and Nigeria being one of the main oppositions they have in West African region. And to be clear, West Africa is the most resource-rich region in the entire world, not just in Africa alone. So we see why France wants to keep it very well. And so there's a lot of geopolitical play, especially with insecurity. We've seen videos of white helicopters coming down with white guys coming down to give of these terrorists weapons and supplies.
You've seen videos of that?
Yeah, on the timeline. I think last 2 weeks or last 3 weeks ago.
They're unverified. We have to verify them before we state such in a public.
Like I said, there was this video. I think I actually downloaded the video.
We saw the video, but we can't verify where it was, when it was shot. So we'll just say unverified. You can't just categorically say,
you can
except
say
you were
it,
standing there.
I get that.
Hello, Kalu.
Okay, thank you. So
yeah, what's up?
Hi, Kalu. Good evening. 2 things I just wanted to say. First, you were talking about Ghana, 28% inflation. I think Ghana 23%. I think Ghana is taking the pain. And if we look at the economic policies of the current government in Ghana, I think they've taken some right steps, and those steps will always come with pain. And those pains have good tidings down the line. Ghana has taken the pain that Nigeria refused to take. And now that's one of the reasons why I like what you are doing, Kalu. You need to educate Nigerians. Naira to dollar at 1,000, 1,500 is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's where it should be, but we should let it float. It will come with pain initially. There's no reason why petrol should be selling for the price in which it's selling. It will come with inflation, but it's going to be for a short term. There's no reason why electricity in certain areas in Nigeria should be selling for the price in which it's selling. We will not be able to attract investment into that sector. You know, there's so many emotions on Twitter. A lot of our people don't even understand what the policies are. And the young man that said he served in the East, talking about fiscal policy of tax and so on and so forth. Look, we have the lowest tax to GDP ratio in Africa, 6%.
In the world,
In the world,
not Africa.
we need to capture and collect more taxes, and those are the pain. And these are some of the pains that Ghana is taking now, and we better know it. We shouldn't laugh at Ghana. Ghana will rejoice very soon down the line. Look, let me give you a typical example I always give to people. Typical Nigerian family of 4 going to church in the morning. You see your security light on. If you were in the UK or France or in America, you would rush down and put off the lights. Oh, don't worry. When we come back, we'll put it off. Or you are traveling, put on the security light so that people will not know that we're not in. Now,
But it's true now.
Yeah, it's because the cost of electricity is not at that level where people will know. And then you would attract people. In the office, bought a car. The car is 3.0 liter engine. And I told him, first,
Hey, I think you're in the matrix, so you're gone off. So hey, so your matrix is gone off. Ena, let's start to wind this thing down slowly, right? So we've had a lot this week.
They don't know what the time is. A lot of sentiments, tribal, religious.
Hey, my brother, you are in Ola. You are in and out. Your service is very, very bad, Ola. So I'm sorry about that. Yeah. And now let's start to wind down. We've been here, I would say, give or take about 2-3 hours. What have you heard that's hit you now? I mean, I've heard a lot of people talk about policies, this policies that, and I hear you saying at the top of the hour that you didn't want to see a plan. Do you think we're set up now to? I really appraise these leading candidates. Do you think we have a sense of what they're going to do? Ena, are you back? I added you back in.
What's your question?
So I was saying that, do you think we have a sense now on the direction of where we're going to with these 3 guys? Do you think it's okay that we can just basically assess these folks based on, like you said at the very top, their antecedents? Or should we demand for more?
I think first we should broaden the bracket. There are not only 3 people in the race. There's a Malik Ado Ibrahim, who none of those 3 people can stand intellectually. By experience, he worked as an undersecretary in the United Nations. He built weapon system in Turkey. He's consulted for country. The SDP candidate is also a very accomplished lawyer. So I think we should broaden the net.
There's the reason why in the US only Democrats and Republicans attend debates. Everyone is good, right? Everyone is good, but do you really think we can bring in everybody? It's not going to be possible.
That's true.
If you can't win, and if you can't win, I don't know.
I agree with you.
I mean, if this gentleman was in a political party that was large enough, we won't be having this discussion, right?
I agree.
Yeah, but I just feel that there's a long way for us to go. Already, I've seen the political attacks go out. I've seen now last week I saw an attack as regards pricing of a company. Now I'm seeing an attack as regards qualifications, i.e., qualifications. And this is what we will get caught up in all this. He said, before it is January, and then we have to go vote. No real introspection and accountability is now held to these guys to say, this is what you are promising, or this is what we want to hear from you. And before you know it, these guys get into office without actually being challenged into talk.
I don't think that would depend on promises, because there have been promises before and all the promises have failed, and there's a limitation to what they can achieve in the current macro realities.
Yeah.
So I would rather look at character, in the beauty of what the ripple effect. I come back to the word you said. You said if the process to electing the next government is credible and scientific, it will immediately have a positive multiplier economic effect on our economy. And the world is watching. Whatever happened to Ike Ekweremadu, the world is watching. Articles are flying. Bloomberg wrote an article. So it is
a crazy article.
This is a different timing in our history, especially with our debt, our GDP to loan ratio, to the crude oil, to Russia. So we cannot afford. You would not appoint a man with questionable character to head your family, to be led with your family, to be led with your business. So I think character will play a big role, and we should emphasize more. I will not look at competence or economic dynamism or sophistication. What Nigeria needs at this point is character, because even God, what did he say of David? I found David a man after my own heart. He didn't say David has the capacity to solve all the problems. The man, but a man of character. We can't afford to do business as usual. We can't afford it. It's just the reality. We should speak.
Let me ask you a question. Yeah, where do you think the British and the US lobby, in terms of who they want to work with on an economic level, how big do you think that lobby is going to be? Will they agree to work with Atiku, Tinubu, or Peter Obi? Where do you think they're going to pitch their tent to? Because they have a very, very loud voice. If they say this guy is going to protect our interests, in quotes, we prefer him, that's a big voice. Do you have any views on that?
I don't think they would. They are from the outside. They have history of working with one candidate or the other. But I would say they have people internally in the country who they respect. People like Obasanjo, who they will watch their body language and listen to the words that they speak. And once those people point in a certain direction, I think then the US or the Western infrastructure will support that. I don't think ab initio they will just choose somebody. No. The Americans do not come and impose on you. They will watch the climate, they will do their interpolations, and they'll see where it's going. Based upon that, they will just go on the popular demand. Look at Libya. They saw that the people wanted a change of government. What did they do? They pushed it to the UN level, UN security resolution. Today, Gaddafi is no more. They're thinking of a democracy. So I think they will wait, watch the momentum, see where it's going, have deliberations indirectly with the three candidates, and listen for vibrations of understanding their interest. And once there's a minimal understanding of vibration of interest, I think they will pull through. And with men like Obasanjo and Okonjo-Iweala, who are up there, those people would probably school whoever they believe is best for the system, and that person will be able to understand those realities and work within that way. My friend, I think everything would fall, all the lines will fall into pleasant places for the candidate with momentum at the last minute.
Momentum, that's the word, momentum. And I'm surprised you're saying the US does not select. They do a lot of selection. I mean, if you read the WikiLeaks...
No, they don't select for you. They don't select.
If you read the WikiLeaks, they were very, very interested.
No,
they go
don't
around
worry,
and ask people.
they won't select for you. They can point who they don't want based on maybe this person sponsored terrorism before, this person gender issues. As long as the person does not have those deep-seated issues that cut across that gender, tribe, or xenophobic attacks, they would not select for you. They would work. The US has always worked with the momentum. Always worked with the momentum to support the momentum. They don't go against the grain. That's why they've conquered at all times. They hardly look at the World War, Second World War. They didn't go now. Something must happen, and they must tilt it in a certain direction. Once there's that push, and the populace want that, they won't even just go to war. America does not just go to war. They wait for the population to have felt the heat or to think it's a national security risk. Then they will ride on it. That's why their symbol is an eagle. The eagle waits and see where the weather is going and leverage us upon it. So the US, they saw they don't fly against the grain. I don't think the US would choose a presidential candidate for Nigeria. They can share intel on the demerits of choosing some people that might have a negative impact on the country.
Yeah.
But they would shortlist, and let's say the 3 have been shortlisted, and once they get signals from men with global stature, men like Obasanjo, men like Okonjo-Iweala, they would do their own analysis, come to a conclusion, and subtly support the people because they've always followed the momentum. So they support the people. Look at the investments of the US or Canada. It's on youth, women. So those are the things they will look out for.
Interesting. That's very interesting. So let's see how it pans out. Abdulrahman, I've got you back here. You were here at the very beginning and you left. Abdulrahman Mohammed. I was going to ask you a few questions. So I don't know if your internet is back up. If you are, just come off mute so that I can. I was very interested in your comments when you were first in here. Can you speak now?
All right, yes, sir. Thank you very much. I had network
Excellent.
issues, so.
Yeah, great. Glad to have you back. Yeah, so you were telling us about your views of the polity. This is your first time of voting. You are 23 years old, and you already had your candidate, right? So why
Yes,
did
sir.
you choose that candidate? Just what pushed you to choose that candidate? And I'm just give context. Your candidate is outside your geographical zone. It's outside your tribe. It's outside your religion. So what really attracted you to that candidate? I'm just looking to get some insight from you.
All right. Yeah, I like what Peter Obi stands for. Firstly, he's a businessman. I'm business inclined. Secondly, he has been a governor in Anambra State. I've seen clearly the things he has done. I see how he talks. I see what he stands for. From consumption to production is actually a very, very nice, idea. I really.
Okay, so that's interesting to see. So you're more or less going for. So you're more or less going for the. You're going for the facts of the case, more or less the facts.
Yes, absolutely.
If you could speak for like your circle of friends, is this the same thinking from your circle of friends, or is this just an outlier version? Are you an outlier?
No. Well, I mean, I've changed so many people's minds about the kind of the religious lenses or tribal lenses or whatever. I mean, I've explained to so many people why it has to be Peter Obi, and they are really convinced. So it's I think I really have very grounded reasons for standing with him. I mean.
So you think it's more or less like if he becomes president, it will help your personal economy, or is it more like it will help what's the real? Do you have an economic tilt to why him?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think from looking at what Peter Obi stands for, I think I'm really a very good advocate of restructuring. I really want Nigeria to be restructured, and I think Peter Obi thinks the same. And if given the chance, he would do actually the same. So this is yes, actually, and I really like so many things he said. One of the things he said was taxes and investment. That's really a very great idea. Taxes really an investment, and if you don't invest in your people, you cannot tax them. I mean, if you look at the National Assembly today, they have brought about so many taxes in this country, way more than any other government has done. You cannot tax unemployed people. So I really like everything about how he goes, his economic policies and all that. I really like it.
So the taxes,
So yes.
that taxes it's like to say your economic trigger. So is it like you like the tax cut or you don't like the? So my question is this, right? Are you for the tax cut or are you against the tax highs or the tax hike? Which are you more of? Do you like that he's cutting your taxes or that the other guys want to increase your taxes? Which one is more of a push or pull to you? Did you get my question?
Kalu, I think when choosing a leader on a basic level, they use the three C's: character, competence, and charisma. So if you score these people on a quantitative basis, because decision making, um, once the choices are more than two, it is beyond the cognitive capacity of the human. My doctorate degree, my thesis was developing a decision model. So what you do, you develop weightings and you give them quantitative weightings. Things like international clout, resourcefulness, nationalistic instinct,
I hear
feminine
you.
bias, around 12, because there were 12 that I developed for the 2019 election. I used to analyze the then candidates. I can read them out to you if I find the document. If we look at this candidate,
I'm interested in him, Abdurrahman. Why I'm interested in his comments is that I know he's a young guy. He's not really paying taxes for now. He hasn't started paying taxes, but you can hear him talking about the tax cuts quote he heard from Peter Obi. So I'm just really interested in trying to zero in on that aspect. If he's more motivated by this guy's going to reduce my taxes, or if it's more of the other guy's going to increase my taxes.
I don't really look at taxes, because if you look at taxes, you might be misled. What do I mean? Let me give an example. Amazon made $456 billion for last year. Now, no, between 2018 to 2020, their profit before tax was $44.3 billion. Now, do you know that their pre-profit tax was only 3% of that sum, which was $1.9 billion, whereas the average corporate tax code for companies is 21%. So taxes,
they don't pay. They do a lot of capex. They do a lot of capital investment, so they defer those taxes.
No, that's what I'm saying. I might not really want to look at a candidate based on tax, because their windows depends on the direction of the economy. Because, for example, when GSM was coming, the Obasanjo government had to give them waivers to enable them bringing their equipment. So if you look at taxes, you might miss it out. I would look at where Nigeria is. We've not had problem with taxes. We've not had problem with revenues. It's been pilfering, stealing, thieving, ole. We need character.
I get you now.
Would you, Kalu, I'm speaking on this forum, amongst those three people, who would you leave your children with? Who would you leave your own personal resources with? If you can answer that question.
I'm just the moderator. So
No, I'm just saying it's like a poser. Let's not go too philosophical, too analytical. We are developmental consultants. And if we go in that light, we might miss it. We've had people in our government from Adesina. We've had the best hands. Adesina is the president of the African Development Bank. Okonjo-Iweala is the president of the World Trade Organization. Dezani was an executive director in Shell. Ibe Kachuku was vice president of... We can keep really names. But the leadership at the top has lacked character. So the advantage I would say Obi has is he has an organic following, and is being funded in that organic following, and is going to owe his ascension to power to the people. That is novel. So that debt that he owes the Nigerian people, and he knows these people are angry, and if he dare makes a mistake not to deliver, he knows he can never come back to Nigeria. He should just go file asylum in Singapore.
Okay, we'll see.
So he has no option
but
to deliver.
I always count. I mean, let's see what will happen. I'll keep an open forum for everyone to. We're not really endorsing anybody. We're trying to just get information out there.
No, I'm not endorsing anybody. I'm just saying, based on decision sciences, there are two philosophies in decision sciences. There's the American school of thought, and there is French school of thought. The American school of thought is absolutism. This is the best candidate. Then there's the American school of thought is pairwise comparison, which is this is better than that. So Obi's movement, they are using the absolutism. Oh, Obi is the best. Oh, if Obi does not win. No, I'm not following that route. I'm looking at the three candidates based on 12 quantitative criteria that I've developed and weighed them on these 12. Based on that, I'm deciding at this moment to tilt towards one more because of the unique times in which we're in. Albert Einstein said, you cannot solve a problem with the same thinking that created it. Our issue is not a money issue. We've been earning crude oil revenues. Norway discovered oil in 1967. They have a $1.3 trillion Norwegian sovereign wealth fund.
Yeah.
We are depleting. So if the only thing the man does is to save money, this information I'm giving you is a brand, is good for our brand. Oh, Nigeria has a sovereign wealth fund of $2 trillion. It's good for our brand. So I'm talking of character. I'm not talking of even competence. We need someone that will not come and steal. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, that's a good way to shut down the room, Ena. Thank you so much for that. We're about 6 minutes to the top of the hour, and we've been here at it. We're the economics of the politics is just our way of contributing to the economic debate. We want to have a good, clean elections. We want to equip the voters with knowledge to ask good questions, to debate, and to talk to their friends about this election. This is going to be a consequential election because whoever wins this election determines a lot how we think as a country. If Peter Obi wins, the country is saying they want to go in a brand new direction. If Tinubu wins, the country is saying, well, it's same of the same. It's his turn. He has been there. Let's give it to him. If Atiku wins, it's we're going back. What I mean back, not back in the bad way, but we're going back to PDP. Maybe we feel that PDP is something that we need as an established player. So it's three pathways, more or less, that are set up for Nigeria. And Nigerians are going to vote. I don't think this is an election of Reagan. It's not going to happen this time. There are too many people involved, too many passions, that it's going to be difficult to just do that wholesale rigging that we've seen in the past. So it's a very consequential election, and everyone has got to take a stand. You can't be neutral. You can't say, oh, I don't know. You have to take a stand, and you have to go out there and you have to vote. This is our own contribution to that. So we're going to be doing this as we get more information. So I'm going to just wait. Maybe we'll do this again in 3 weeks. We'll always make sure we invite you guys so you guys can come in and talk to us and share your thoughts as well. Ena, Kelvin, all the speakers that have come in here to speak. My friend from Ghana, Nana, thank you so much for coming in here. My friend from Zimbabwe, thanks for also coming in here. All the Nigerian guys, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We're going to shut down the room. You guys keep it safe, take care of yourselves, and be good, right? So we'll see you guys next time we call. Shutting down room in 5, 4, 3, 2,